Blessed is the man who walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the ways of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. And say everything clear, they say the end of the earth is near. World War III, nuclear. Keep an eye upon the eagle and the bear. Oligarchs and billionaires. Space is the next frontier. They want breed glorified here, as I alone sitting in the high chair. Glorify his name, me begging. Together and blow fire upon it. Make we come together and blow fire upon it. Don't they worry about your house, your pretty car, or your bling. Don't they worry about your house, your pretty car, or your bling. To the entire metaverse list, only one. To the entire metaverse list, only one. Global warming have the place the bake. Tsunami and earthquake. Then they leave land, they try to escape. Ye of little faith, we don't know we're real or we're fake. You have to watch the food you they put on your plate. In the lab manufacturing steak, could never flow through the general gate. Glorify his name, me begging. Glorify his name, me begging. Make we come together and blow fire upon it. Make we come together and blow fire upon it. Don't they worry about your pretty car or your bling. Don't they worry about your house, your pretty car or your bling. To the entire metaverse list, only one. To the entire metaverse list, only one. Chemtrails, the rain down pollution. Illicit chat about depopulation. Deep sea exploration. Submersible to the depths of the ocean. AI robotic. Ritual satanic. No matter what you do, you can't destroy the other planet. They want sink like the Titanic. Glorify his name, me begging. Glorify his name, me begging. Make we come together and blow fire upon it. Make we come together and blow fire upon it. Don't they worry about your house, your pretty car, or your bling. Don't they worry about your house, your pretty car, or your bling. To the entire metaverse list, only one. To the entire metaverse list, only one thing. Glorify his name, me begging. Glorify his name, me begging. Make we come together and blow fire upon it. Make we come together and blow fire upon it. Blessed is the man who walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the ways of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. Glorify his name, me begging. Glorify his name, me begging. Make we come together and blow fire upon it. Make we come together and blow fire upon it. Don't they worry about your house, your pretty car, or your bling. Don't they worry about your house, your pretty car, or your bling. To the entire metaverse list, only one. To the entire metaverse list, only one. Me wanna meds and say everything clear, they say the end of the earth is near. World War III, nuclear. Keep an eye upon the eagle and the bear. oligarchs and billionaires. Space is the next frontier. They want breed, glorified. Greetings.
Yes, greetings. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Welcome to another episode. We are here waiting for Mr. Gregory Myers, but you could take it from here. Christopher, how you doing? All is well?
Yep, doing all is well indeed.
Okay, my brother. You know what's up. Handle your business.
Yes, sir. All right. So, greetings, viewers. My name is Christopher Brasser. We're back again with another Setting the Pace podcast. So, like mentioned earlier, we're waiting upon Mr. Myers because today our discussion will be talking about a workshop that Mr. Myers is going to give us a brief run through on how this workshop can help us athletes improve, especially for track and field mostly, you know. And I believe that is something very important that they create like these things like workshops to help move athletes forward here in Belize. So upon the waiting of Mr. Myers at the moment, I'll just want to give some highlights from the basketball game that has been taking place. So
Oh yeah,
the
yeah. That's
U18
good.
U18 basketball, yes. So you
Yes,
know
that's
that
good. Yeah.
the first game Belize managed to dominate Brazil by 4 points. They were dominating very good. Then yesterday we got one of the biggest beatings
Yeah,
in
we took a
I
loss. We took
think
a loss. We took a loss. We took a
by
loss.
over 100 points. And
Yeah, we took
now
a loss. We
today
took
they're
a loss.
playing against Argentina, and I'm seeing and I think right now they're in halfway. I think they're in the game, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so I think they're in half, but so far I think right now Argentina is still up.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so right now they're at 57 to 42. So
Okay, cool.
it's halftime. So the next halftime we will see Belize manage to dominate against
Okay.
Argentina. But
Before we go any further, I just received a message from Mr. Gregory. He's in a
yes,
meeting, taking care of the
oh,
business. So, yeah, we're taking care of what we need to take care of. So he
okay,
said next week. So we are good.
all right.
I see Caden have joined us though. We good with Caden.
Oh yes,
And
Hello,
yes,
everyone.
Kevin.
respect
Hello,
Yeah,
Caden.
it was.
hello. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good
Yes, sir.
evening.
Yes, sir.
Mm,
Clinton Puller will be talking basketball when he come on after this these games are over. We will have one of Belize's best, Mr. Clinton
yeah,
Puller will be joining us. So that would be very very interesting. So what's the score? Tell
yeah.
me the score again.
So right now the is at halftime right now. So Argentina is at 57 and Belize is at 42.
Okay. Oh, he came on. Why did he come on? Gregory's
Hey,
here. I
good.
thought he wasn't coming on, Gregory.
Well, I could be very brief because
Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
have
yeah.
Okay.
so I promised an announcement this week and I didn't want to not
Disappoint.
honor my promise, right?
Correct, brother.
So
Correct, brother.
the
We love you
big
more.
announcement is that next on June 15th
All right.
that we will be the BAA will be hosting a workshop in Belize at the
Okay.
National Olympic Committee conference room. We have commitments and plane tickets bought for four of the more influential coaches from Jamaica. The head coach from Jamaica College, uh,
Nice.
Coach
Yeah.
Marlon Gale, who was the head coach at St. Jago last year, and the head lecturer at GC Foster for track and field.
Is, could we
And
make a sorry to cut you off, but could we make a special show of that? Could we have a special show and do that live? You think or no? It's not possible.
um,
Or you
we
will
could try
try.
to work something out. I
Okay,
just
cool. All
can't.
right,
I
go
can't
ahead.
give those commitments just yet.
Correct,
We
correct,
we
correct,
just we're just finalizing it, and
correct, correct,
I will as soon as I come off here, I will forward you the flyer
correct,
that we
correct.
put on the Facebook page today. In fact, you could probably pull it from
Yeah, correct.
Facebook and share it.
On
But
your it's on your page.
It's on the Belize Athletic Association page.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so basically, we're bringing them in to come and discuss how we can move Belize forward in terms of physical education and student athleticism, right? And we're going to discuss. It's going to be a panel. It's going to be all day. We're looking into getting professional development hours for teachers, but we want to get the perspective of some of the people who have done this successfully on an international level. So having them come to Belize where you could, where we could have our interested parties interact and collaborate and have dialogue with the some of the prominent names in track and field in from Jamaica is going to be wonderful.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank
Looking
you so
forward for
much.
that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. That's very
Yep.
interesting.
Yep. So,
Thank you
like
for
I
taking
said,
the time, Gregory.
yeah, like I said, I apologize. I don't have a whole lot of time
Don't
to stay on
apologize,
tonight.
brother. We are grateful.
It's all right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we are
So,
grateful.
what I'll do, just if you can, just go right on Facebook on the Bleeds Athletic website. I mean, not website. Excuse me, Facebook page, and you'll be able to pull the flyer down.
I
And
wish you would send it to me personally though, cause then
I
that way
will
I could
send.
just.
I'll forward it to you as I come off.
Okay, my brother. Thank you so much. Have a blessed night. Say hi to
Nice.
everybody.
Care.
Say hi to
Yes.
Dimitri and the brothers and everybody over there. And
I
your
will.
and your wife. Tell everybody we say hi from the sea smoke set in the face.
That's right. That's right. All
And
right.
we
Very
love
good.
you over here, brother. We love
Yeah.
All
you.
right. Till next
Bless
week.
up. Correct. Yeah, next week we good.
All right.
Yeah, all
Very
right.
good.
Thank you, Gregory.
My
Yes.
pleasure.
Thanks for the share. Yep. Yeah, thanks for the share. Yeah. So yes, Kaden. So as you mentioned, so next weekend or next week, the 15th, like mentioned, that you'll be having this workshop and they're bringing in these coaches to help moving athletes forward. Now, as us athletes, this is something I believe is a big opportunity, that
I think so too.
we
I think so too.
that we do tune in to things like these because at the end of the day, whatever has been discussed in these workshops can be at the same time. But at the same
Yeah,
time,
applied.
but maybe
Yeah.
maybe next week, prior towards it, maybe we can ask Mr. Myers if workshop like these, if they could also have athletes in attendance because it's very important
Okay.
that our voices
Okay.
be heard.
Correct. Correct.
So, okay, then, any thoughts? What your thoughts about the
Well,
idea of
the idea of the workshop, I do think it's unique. It's for me, I think it would be very beneficial, and especially with the coaches from Jamaica, that would be something like a step further that could help influence us. I really do think that it's a really big step in the athletic field of track and field. So I'm really looking forward to it, and I might just check it out myself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happened was that just to bring back some of the discussions from last week podcast, because I know you weren't here, but we were discussing on the importance of coach athlete relationships because the fact that the coach that in Belize, last week Mr. Myers mentioned about the idea about establishing what we call a mentorship system that that we have accessible mentors for athletes, because the coach job is to ensure that athletes are up to their full potentials. And it's very hard at some point, especially to some athletes, because even us as athletes, we can relate that it's very hard, especially like maybe if we're coming from out of nothing, and the fact that this coach willing to make the sacrifice to get us to that potential, even though it's going to be hard on them a lot, but at the end of the day, once that relationship between the athlete and the coach goes work hand to hand, there's progress. So I don't know, Kaden, if what you think about that in your in your eyes.
Hello.
Yeah, hearing you.
Um. Hello, you could hear me?
Yeah, we could hear
Yes,
you,
you can hear
Kenan.
me.
All right. Hold on, my thing to give trouble. Hold on. Uh, Hello?
Hello.
Yes, we're hearing you. Yes, you
Oh,
could.
okay. Um, yeah, Chris. Back to what you said, and and me personally, I do think um it's about. I don't really have any thoughts about it. Uh, as much.
But like, think about it in a scenario. Like, let's say, for example, you're the coach. You are training athletes to the best potentials, but there are some scenarios whereby the athletes you're training they come from, from poverty. Let's say. So normally the coach will try and make the best effort to help the athlete in every situation possible, and the athlete will do whatever the best as possible as they're receiving these helps to help elevate to the sport that they love. So I'm just asking you from your perspective, do you think something like that is key in Belize?
Well, to put it in some type of way, well, like okay, Belize, we do have areas that we have a lot of people who come from poverty, and their
Yeah.
background is from a poverty environment. Um, and uh, pushing the athletes to the limit and training them in a type of way in professional um, workouts and all these type of training. I do think it's really impactful. Uh, but in my opinion, overall, I do think that it would be very beneficial in either way, poverty or not, and yeah, it would most definitely give them a bigger side of the work ethic as well.
Yep. Because then also at the same last week we were also discussing that there are athletes who love track to the core, and then the fact that they don't have the support from their parents, you know maybe
Oh
because
yeah,
they don't got it and so forth. Like,
that's true.
you have any experience like that, or any friends that have experienced these things as scenarios, and how to encourage people that does want to partake in sports, but you know probably they don't have it to the extent, like.
Well, I do have friends that try to get into running and all the speed training, but it's all about the lack of needs on these equipments of running, the type of the footwear, the running equipments like maybe a stopwatch or any type of watch that could help check your pace, or proper running pants, running shirt. These equipments, they cost a lot of money, especially the most important thing, the footwear. And that's a really important thing too. Um,
Okay, but Kenan,
yeah.
but I'm saying, all right. All right. Say because I know of a few people who came from say less than fortunate backgrounds, right? But there's a will sometimes because you have like in New York, you have the New York Marathon, right? That's run
Yes.
by a lot of Africans who come from real disadvantages sometimes. But I think they will. I see some of these kids in Africa working out with cement blocks, with tires, with a whole lot of stuff. Just it's a I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but do you think that
Yeah.
if you have a will, right, and you have a drive, even without all of these stuff, because you gotta be presented. I know you gotta be the main objective. I think is to be seen. I think if you get in a position where like you could get recognized, I think that's why the workshop these guys is talking about is so important. Because I think even if you don't have the equipment, if you could get somewhere where you have the will to make it and you have the drive and you could present yourself to some. I think they need you be, in Belize the kids need somewhere that they could go where there would be people that would be what you say, mentor or monitoring them, and they
Oh
could be
yeah.
like, okay, this
Yeah.
person or kid or this boy got a will. He might not have
Oh
the
yeah.
equipment, but he might got the will.
Oh
So
yeah. The
that's how
will. Oh
that's how the
yes.
mentorship come in. Do you think like the will
The
plays
will.
a most
Yes.
important, a big important?
Yeah. 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 Most definitely. Most definitely. The will, the drive power,
The
for
drive,
sure.
yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
trying
The
to say.
drive.
Yeah,
Yeah. The drive power. That. Yeah. For sure. Most definitely. Because when you have that passion for something, like especially in
correct,
track and
correct,
field,
correct,
that passion it tends to grow. The competition as well, that passion and drive that tends to grow over
correct,
time
correct. Yeah,
towards the sport. It's
correct. Yeah,
basically all sports. You got footballs, you got basketball, volleyball, but when you look at track and field, it's a sport where in an event you're surely supposed to be dominant. It's a dominant sport. So
correct,
yeah, i
correct.
really i really do think yes, Mr. Yes, sir, that is true. The
Okay,
drive power.
okay. I just wanted to
Yep.
know that part.
Mhm. All right. So before we continue the discussion, I'm just watching the game right now. So the
Yeah.
game right now, Argentina is at 65, Belize is at 50 right now.
Oh,
So they're
15.
making 5-0. So
Yeah, but
it's a
that's a
15
15-point
point.
difference. Yeah, correct,
It's a yes, a 15-point lead, but they're making
correct.
some good comebacks here.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
making some good comebacks in the game.
Okay. I'm proud of them
Yeah.
guys. Win, lose, or draw.
Yeah. But thing is, that's the thing is because what happened is that Belize we have big potentials, and like I remember, like just to share, like going out to whether it's Central America outside on the international scale, you know the the fact that we're going out there. Yes, we go out there competitive. We go out there hoping that we win. And at the same time, we also represent our country. I think one of the key importance here is that we represent our country, to a strong, to a high, strong level in every sports because we want that when we go out there and represent, we give it the best as we can,
Give your all.
and
Yeah,
that
you
is
give your
one
all.
thing,
Yeah.
Yep, that is one thing that believes. But the thing is, I think with Belize, that competitive is something that I believe that it is there. And I think that it should be even driven more because, especially, because internationally, I have experienced it already. Like they will bring out their competitive level, and if you don't have the same
Yeah,
compatible
yeah,
level to
yeah,
them,
yeah,
it's a two different thing.
yeah, yeah.
So Kaden, um, so
Yeah.
competitiveness. Do you
Yeah.
think that Belizeans in every sport should bring out every inner competitiveness in sports?
Yes, I do. I really do believe that you should bring out the competitiveness, Chris, because without the competitiveness, there is no hope for the sport, you know? Like for example, like right now, the basketball going into any sport, any
Yep.
event, or any type of meet, without competitiveness, you're just having doubts to yourself. You're not setting any
Yeah,
type of
that's right.
positivity.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, you don't have that thinking and positivity of, oh man, we going into this
Mhm.
game, are we about to win? I do believe so, because the
Mhm.
competitiveness is what makes the match or the tournament impactful. Well, not really much impactful, but interesting.
Yep.
That's what make it very interesting. Like when you look at these big events like World Cup and Super Bowl, competitiveness is what make it very, very, very entertaining.
Mhm.
So Yeah, I do believe that competitiveness is vital. It is it's very vital. It's really
Okay,
vital.
Katie, let me ask you another question, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now you see, all right, like in Belize, if we when we grow up around among each other, we don't look at each other as being that.
Competitive.
Yeah, we don't look at each other and be like,
Competitive.
oh, that boy batter. No,
Mhm.
because we grow up with each other. So
Yeah.
now this is so the importance of going, not only bringing other, like I see them in cycling. In cycling now, the thing with cycling now is they're bringing in cyclists from all over the. One time it wasn't like that, but now cycling is coming from all over the world. People is coming to cycle
Hmm.
in
Yep.
Belize. So I think if we can't, some of the kids can't go out of Belize. I mean, Chris
Yeah.
was fortunate. You probably be fortunate to go some places. And with Gregory, I know he go all over the world with his kids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But do you
Yeah.
think it's important to try to attract athletes from around the world to come to Belize, not only in cycling, but in soccer, basketball, football? I know one of the main topic we discussed before when you was on was about the the place to do it at, like a stadium or somewhere we could attract these people. Do
Oh,
you think that would
yes.
play a very important role to compete against outside, against global, instead of just competing against ourselves? Because in Belize we're stuck up competing against ourselves. So I think, how do you feel about that part of it?
Well, that's a really good question. Uh, well, looking at it from people, when you get athletes from different countries, other than the facilities and their
Yeah, the
training
facilities.
style,
Yeah,
the facilities, I do think that it it would it would really show that um how other athletes could reach uh a certain type of level within their own sport. I don't know how to explain it, but uh each country, like, okay, so each country, let's see if we get more athletes from, we'll see, Mexico, right?
yeah,
And we put them in the field of soccer, right? Football.
yeah, yeah,
We would see that, they would have way better skill set, way better, like, type of
yeah.
training. And I mean, it's the facilities,
Correct.
it's
Yeah,
like these other type of coaches, and
correct,
you have these huge football stadiums. And
correct. Yeah,
yeah,
correct.
it's I do think it would
But what
bring
we was
in.
discussing last week, well, I think you was here for this discussion too. It
Yeah.
in track and field, it's different because you're going against the time.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's the
It's
only thing
time.
that makes it. Yeah, that's what makes it like
the
kind of like,
time the
yeah.
time
Because if you're competitive and you gotta do time, because you could check the world, time for 50, world time for the 5, world time for the 100. So
Hmm.
like for you to be really ready, you don't really need to be competing with somebody else. You competing
Yeah.
against the clock.
the
The
clock.
clock.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
But then at the
now,
same time, it's not only about competing for the clock, because thing is, yes, clock is the thing you're going to compete. But at the same time, if there's an individual that is also the clock, because I remember when I did my running in track for the 800 meters,
yeah,
you know, like as a rookie for first timers hitting those times in 2 minutes, 2 minutes, we'll call it, and then at
yeah,
nationals, still have that competitive drive in it and get 2 minutes four in 2021. It goes to
yeah,
show us that is who is at the same time. If you know someone that is very competitive and is the clock, that
yeah.
is where you want to get your competitiveness, at the same time your motivation from that individual. It's
Okay,
very hard because right now, especially right now in track, there are not much competitiveness against each other, because it's like, oh well, we could run against each other and then we're not getting in competition. But what I like is that bringing in international athletes
Hmm.
gives us that boost, because it forces, but at the same time it brings out
Yep.
that aggressiveness and competitive in us,
okay,
because
okay.
we want that we win in our era. We don't want the outsiders come and
Correct,
try to beat us and
correct,
embarrass us.
correct, correct,
And
correct.
True. True.
I think that we need to accept the fact that yes, that if we put in the discipline, the hard work in our training, just like
Correct,
how these guys are doing it, so when the
correct.
events are coming up, our job is to match their levels of competitiveness. At the same
Yeah,
time, and then we battle it. No,
So
there will be some days, like you mentioned, there will be some win, lose, or draws. But at the same time, we have to learn from those loses, and at the same time, learn
correct,
from our
correct,
wins.
correct. Yeah,
Things
it's a
that can
learning
help us
experience. Correct,
improve us
Yeah,
correct,
to
yeah,
the
correct,
point that
correct,
we
improving.
correct.
can do better going onwards.
Okay,
Hmm.
so what you're saying is beside the clock, if the individual is there, a couple people is there for you to run with, it gives another level to your competitiveness. That's what you're
Yes.
saying. Besides the clock,
Yeah.
we have to
Yeah.
beat the clock. But if we know, um, Usain Bolt is running at this time, and if he's here and Belize, and you're running
Yes.
with him, yeah, then it's gonna
Yeah.
be. Oh, it's not only the clock, but I got
Yeah.
you staying right here. You know what I mean? So it gives you an extra
Exactly.
edge. Yeah,
Yeah.
I understand that. It makes sense. It makes sense. It
Hmm.
makes a lot of sense. As a matter of fact, what's the
Hmm.
score?
Right now, the score is that Argentina is at 77 and Belize is at 58.
Oh man,
They're at the
We
third.
dropping
They're
off.
at the third. That the third game. They got
third
3 minutes
quarter.
left on the clock. So,
The third quarter.
yep, third quarter. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay.
Argentina just make a basket. So right now the score is at 79 to
79.
58.
All right,
58.
59,
Yeah.
60. Okay, 2 and 79.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what
Okay.
happened is that when I'm watching some of the games, especially the one in yesterday against United States, I realized that when it comes to playing, because when you know you're playing against a team or a group that is at high quality standards, I realized that the nervousness and anxiety that kicks in,
Oh, it adds to
or the
it.
fear,
Okay.
became one
Yeah.
of is something that can be spotted easily.
Oh
And I
wow.
believe that is because if you watch the game yesterday,
Yeah.
how they
Yeah.
were playing like they were moving too fast. They were
Yeah.
not
Nervous.
very,
Yeah.
yeah, they're
Anxiety.
not
Yeah.
control
Organized. Yeah.
Correct.
No.
Correct.
and so
Yeah.
forth.
They was in
And I
awe
think
of the
even
competition.
yes,
Oh my god.
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
you see with track,
that's a good
wait,
observation though.
but
That's a
you
good
see with
observation.
track,
Yeah, different.
you might get nervous at the start, right? But as you go along, that nervousness transition into a point that you're becoming competitive because
Okay.
your driving is against your competitive. But when you look at volleyball, basketball, soccer, you notice that this time if you're playing against a skilled team, you tend to have this little nervousness or fear. And if you do not know how to control that nervousness or that fear in you against it, then you're going to make it does have the outcome of that it makes you to be not in control and it allows the other opposite side to basically take the bigger advantage because them they come with calm and confidence. And I think as we Belizeans in every sport that we do, we must learn how to have that confidence in every game or in every challenge, in every game, that we must have the confidence that we do not go too, anxious or too fearing when we compete against people that are professionally. Because that's what the outsiders want us to do. They want us to fear them. But we supposed to be the ones supposed to be fearing them. So kid, I don't know if you agree or
Yeah.
disagree. Well, let's mention.
Yeah, I agree. We feared, and yeah. So with all that, I mean, cause let's be honest, when we in any type of competition, we do feel nervous, either if we
Yeah,
got a good team or not, cause you
yeah,
never know when something could go wrong.
go
And
wrong.
then
Yeah,
yeah, and then like how you say, track and field, you get that type of nervousness, and it turn into competition. But it also, it helps you with that adrenaline. You're the race with elite runners, and it's one of the things that could help. If you didn't know, nervousness could help you boost your performance because if you didn't notice, when you get that adrenaline at the ready set go mark and you're the race elite runner, like I said, for example, Chris, I know you do the 800 meters, and I don't know if you experienced it before, but when you hear go, you don't know that
yeah,
go, right? And then you get that adrenaline. So yeah, like things like then 1500s, like quick races. You get that
Yeah.
adrenaline and you tend to go like quick, So yeah, I do agree with that statement. That nervousness on competition can catch you all away, catch all
Nope.
most away.
I remember when it was in Nicaragua. I remember when I did the first 800 on the international outside scale. I remember at the starting point when they said Alamar get set, I was in position, but at the same time, my mind went far. Like I started to feel that littleness. But the moment I hear the gunshot to go,
You
I
go,
have to move
just
and go.
move.
But at the end
Too
of the day,
hard.
within the race, as much as even when you're running, you do feel it. But at the same time, if you're mentally strong, that's why I believe your mind is the powerful thing in everything. Because if you don't have a
Mhm.
strong mind when you're running or so forth, then it's game over. But I
Yeah,
remember managed to maintain it best as possible when I was there. As much as I come in second place and they beat me by 2 seconds behind, it teaches me a lot, you know. But then here in Belize, if you lose, it's like a norm that, I understand that yes, they expect me to go with the best, but end of the day, if you don't uplift us even in defeats, I think Belizeans must learn that there is a learning lesson in every defeat that helps us be better as we go forward. So, all right, so right, yeah. So right now they're taking a quick break. So right now the game is at 89 Argentina, 63 Belize. So hopefully in the last
hopefully they put up some
last
more
quarter
points.
that the Belize can rebound. So right now the lead is at um let me see, 7, about at 20, I think about 24, 25 point lead that they're having. Yeah.
25 points.
Mhm. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So but
Well, it could have been worse, because
mhm,
I'll be honest, Team USA and Belize, like when you look at the scores, it really shows a lot. Like it goes right back again with facilities. Well,
mhm,
it also goes back with work ethic. But you see, we can't blame our Belize team because me personally, I proud on it, right? Even if they
mhm.
lose, they gone in and they do something, right?
Yeah.
And even though they lose really bad, I do think that, like as you said, a learning lesson in every loss.
Correct.
Just like
Mhm,
putting in more workforce and
mhm,
learning more skills throughout
mhm.
the standard time, right?
Yeah, the
So
experience is good.
yeah,
The experience
experience.
is good.
And
Yeah.
without failure, you can't
Yeah.
strive for more
Correct.
greatness.
Correct.
So
Exactly.
yeah, so I
But
do
then
think
but
that
then you got
they
some
needed it.
scenarios, right? Because the
Hmm.
thing is like, because you got countries like mentioned, they don't really have better facilities, but yet they do exceptionally well out there. But
Yes.
one of the biggest key in those things is that your body has to be disciplined and well balanced, because you got athletes these days. Because I remember as I experienced where I remember going out as athletes, when a coach tells you that this is bedtime, this is time for you to eat and so forth, you have to go by these schedules, because if you don't go by these schedules,
Yeah.
there's always a consequence.
I think that was one of the topic last week too, meaning that
Yes.
you as the athlete have a commitment too. It's not only the coach or the yeah, it's not only the coach. You as the athlete have to be responsible too. You have a responsibility for yourself to be able to listen and to pay attention and to be proactive. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's something that Belizeans needs to practice more on a basis, because I understand that yes, when you're going out there, you want to enjoy yourself, but at the same time you have to remind yourself the real purpose of why you're here, or why are you out there. Because if you don't realize the real purpose going out there, then what's the point?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
you're going out there if you do not know what is the purpose. Because I learned it my way when I went out there. And for me, I remember my first event in Mexico. I remember they went through a lot to get me crossed with my passport. But when I went there, I know what was my purpose. Yes, Mexico, there's a lot of things I want to do, but I am here for one purpose, and that is to compete and to try to strive. But at the end of the day, it really pays off, because at least I know, like I remember, because what happened is that before the 800 meters, I did the 400 meters. That was my first event when I first started off. And I did exceptionally good when I did in Mexico. As much as at the last stride, the racers were coming in, but I managed to walk out of Mexico with two bronze for the 400 and for the 4x1 relay, because I
Mm.
was running with a mixed group from Mexico for the 4x1 relay. But it teaches a lot from that one time experience. And ever since, that consistency of being involved in the sport, be able to train, discipline myself to the point, eventually I'm able to achieve more than from bronze. I'd be able to reach silver, and then eventually I managed to reach gold. And I think if you continue with that consistency in that, you are going to be bound to be successful.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you have any input you want to also share here, Kaden. As for example, like you coming up now as an athlete and getting there, you know, but what are some challenges that you think, apart from those that I've clearly mentioned, that you believe is also a big hinder in progress of athletes?
Well, in the progress of like as you said, getting better. I I mentioned before, you have to get really comfortable with failure. You also have to get comfortable with putting in enough work, because without putting in the work, you won't get anywhere, right? Um,
Yeah.
Discipline,
yeah,
discipline.
the discipline, yes, sir. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Discipline, and you have to stay motivated. It's like when you look at these guys, for example, who are running 400 meters in sub 48 seconds. These guys have been sticking on to the grind for almost the entire life. Like these guys running 45
Mm-hmm.
seconds, 46. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the discipline is there. It's like if you go to the gym and you want get the shape of your life, it not take a 1 night 2 night thing, it take a
Correct,
1 month thing. Yeah,
correct.
it happens over time. So I do think you also have to get comfortable with where you're at now and sticking to a realistic goal, because overshadowing yourself, as in like putting in too much work or like forgetting about why you're training, it really impacts us negatively. And um, if we don't remind ourselves, and because the mind is very powerful, you think about something and you could do it, anything possible. But yes, as like discipline is the most important thing, and being comfortable on where you're at realistically.
Yeah. Yeah, that's well said. Because it sometimes is very hard. It's like at the same time, that's when, especially like with Truck and Kaden, we are part of the UB Truck Club. One of the key goals that we talk about is about having that communication with each other and to have that team spirit that we motivate each other.
Yep.
Because without that motivation among, especially with teams, no matter which sport, if you don't have that motivation or that leadership, bond with each other, then how you expect
Yeah.
them to
Hey,
move forward?
yeah. Yep. You know,
So
get
all
that
of that is
push.
key. Yeah,
Yeah, that push, that team push. You know, because
because many athletes, people believe that that when they enter the field, they expect it is a win. If it's for the first time, normally you need to have that that experience. You don't expect that you go there one time and expect you might walk out win. No, you have to be able to say, you know what, I need to experience it. Not everyone is lucky at their first event, but if
yep.
you continue to train and push forward, you will be able to make it. But at the same time, it's how you go about seeing it, because some people these days, they don't see the sport as what it is,
Yeah,
and
they
you got
do.
others that see the sport as something that, yes, they had to be there. If you want to be up there, it's all about that. Yep.
Hmm.
All right, so 6 minutes into the game right now, Argentina is at 98 and Belize is at 67. That's the score right now.
98, 67.
Yeah,
All right. Well, I mean, they don't do as bad as last game, but
yeah, they do do as bad. And that's the thing. It's like, because when Belizeans say that we're not there, it's like they don't lose hope. And
yep.
especially as a nation that we're supposed to be, to have that hope in everything. I think we must also see hope even in our despair. Like, I remember today, they just announced the September celebration team. The team for September is A Nation Proud and Free Belize at 43. You know, and I like how this individual craft this team that, Belize as a nation, we are proud. As much as a lot of people talk about the free part, but that we must be proud in everything I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, we have to
You
be
know,
patriotic. Yeah.
yeah. Um. So we know that Olympics Day is coming up on June 23rd. I'm just gonna put this out there, June the 23rd. So it's by the Olympics Committee. So every year, Olympics Day normally happens at the ending of June. Normally, it's the last Sunday, or the last, or at least before, in that last part of June, or so, where that matches what will have been called Olympics Day. Now, normally for the Olympics Day, like this year, they're gonna have it at Mara June. So, based on the venue that I'm seeing, because I remember last year I didn't partake, but it was at Civic Center. But this year they moved to Mara June. So, I believe that this year, if I could get more details, I might share it another time. Before, prior to the day, you know, it's a I won't say it's more like a meet, but at the same time, it's also another way of engaging athletes across Belize to be a part of something very fun. And I think we talked about this, Kaden, earlier in our podcast when we started. That it's important to have more events, but at the same time, it's also our job as athletes to continue to push, you know, to have these events happening continuously. But at the same time, we have to look at it from the political aspect, that because again, we that it requires a lot of finance to push for most of these events, you know, to get the medals, to ensure that there's food, there's water, um the equipments, everything in order to have these events going through. Because I remember I have talked to the Minister of Sports, and I remember talking to him, asking him about, you know, about especially with track and field as athletes, because especially Mara Jones. So hopefully in 2 months' time we will see the work that they're putting in, and I hope that when they do, hopefully that they do invest more in our athletes, because what happens is that without that help from, because thing is like non-governmental organizations will try their best in assist, but I also believe that if that the government should play a role in helping our athletes, especially in the excellency, because for every victory and so forth, they're always there. And I believe, and Kaden, do you believe with me as well, or agree that government should always assist athletes in Belize in everything aspect as possible?
Yeah, I really agree. I strongly agree. From basketball, like from all sports, every
What?
sport. Yeah, I actually do agree.
Because the thing is, one of the problem is again because like we do have resources, but we just don't know how to invest properly. Because for example, if you look at Marion Jones could have been one of the one of the biggest stadiums in Belize City, and primarily could have been one in, I think, in the world, or maybe possibility in the world, that has a two track. Because if you, because Katie, I know you visit Marion Jones and you see for yourself, we have like literally two tracks, the original track and then there's one in cement. And if government does invest wisely, we could have a two-track event and it will be even better, because then you could have the short distance run and the long distance run all in one, and it's going to be more easier that way. That it allows all events to happen around the same time, and you know, it allows things to done more easier than have to use one track. You know, it's like Belize City has it, but I think that if they do put the investments into it, we can move forward. Because just like how they invest in volleyball, basketball, and everything, we have a lot of those. But I think if they also invest in the other leisure ones, especially even rugby, because I know Belize City do rugby as well. There are other sports that Belize doing that we do excel. But if government does not invest in it properly, then how you expect to that Belize will be able to move to that higher standard? So, all right, so we're coming down to the last ending. So right now, the game is at 103 Argentina, 75 Belize, I think, or 73. I think my computer is kind of freeze, but I'm seeing here that look like, not to pull
At
it in
least
a
you
way.
don't lose by 100 again. At least you don't lose by 100
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. At least it's
Yeah.
somewhere within the 30-point range. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Because what happened is that if you look at it in this way, right? First game they managed to walk out successfully.
Yeah.
Second game, that defeat, it was big, and I think what happened is that defeat, especially something like this big, I think it has an impact.
Yeah.
But I think
mentally.
Mhm. Yep, and I think that as athletes, even myself, because I remember went through a lot of defeats before I could have be able to make it to
Okay.
the
Okay,
levels. I think that if you because again, sportsmanship is one of the biggest important things to have. Because if you don't have sportsmanship in these sports, then it's gonna be very tough because then you're like the term they use to describe people that don't have sportsmanship as sore losers
Yeah, yeah,
because you're
yeah.
going to be aggressive.
That's
You think
true.
it's their fault, but it's not that, you know. And I think it's something that Belize should practice a lot, sportsmanship. Because other team, yes, they do beat us, but one thing I like about them is that they display sportsmanship.
Okay.
I know sometimes it's very rough because, like, I remember experience even football games when a team lose. Aye, big
Hmm.
war,
Big quarrels.
a big quarrel,
I remember
and,
that. I
and
remember when they played at Brazil, they wanted to fight and everything.
exactly,
Yeah, yeah. No
and that
sportsmanship.
should not be. And I think, and that should not be, you know, be the case because then, you know, you win some, you lose some. You know, you learn at the same time. You know, you do better next time. You know. All right, so the game is at the last minute, so we're gonna see what comeback Belize could bring. Because right now the points is at 106 to 73. So this is by a 33 points lead. So, but you know, but I'm very proud that you know Belize City excel in everything. I think is that our job is to continue to help uplift. At the same time, we keep motivating our athletes because you got some athletes because of a big defeat like this, it discouraged them to the point that they don't want to come in. And I think that right there, that needs to change, you know.
Man,
Right, Kieran?
Yeah.
Any comments, any thoughts?
And nothing on my mind right now.
Noah joined us. Noah, what's up? You there?
yes, sir. Good evening. Good evening. Sorry,
Good
I'm
evening.
reaching it because the link was I never gonna get through with the link, so I log on from my laptop. Okay, with the
Okay,
athlete
okay.
stuff, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, with the athletes in Belize, some of the athletes are discouraged because of favoritism. Usually, because they have certain people who they pick. Although you have the best time, they have certain people who they choose to go represent them. So like
Yeah.
they show face towards other people that's why most of the athletes what they believe were capable for complete and do great stuff can't get the chance because they always keep the same one when lose over and over at the same for them. So we need to change that about the our country and our environment for track and field.
Yeah. Yeah, I think conflict of interest is a big issue because I remember experienced that once in my lifetime, you know. And I think that is true because what happened is that you got people that are do pushing, but if you put someone just because they do it for years or because of support, then it really discouraging those athletes from pushing to their potential because you're going for the ones you know to your core rather than give the new man a chance, you know. And you're very right about that. But it's something that in Belize every athlete do experience it. But one of the problems is that they don't really like to talk about it because, well, you know, it's a big issue. But Gilbert, how you
Yo,
what? Yeah. So what would be then ways to still motivate those in times like those, or you know, especially when it comes to conflict of interest?
oh, what we could do is do a recruit for athletes all around high school because usually they have some great talents at the high school like Wesley College, ACC, one Les and the rest of school that want to give them a chance to show them they have skills. Because I witnessed it when I was high school. We go against each other we go international. But certain when you go above in the Olympics and stuff, them they have certain people who they choose, and with the certain people who they choose, they discourage the other one who wanted to give it a try, that they don't want to come back. So what we could do is to change the ways of favoritism and at least give the younger youths a chance before, like, if you already got out country represent our country more than one time or like 5 time experience, you could teach the older, the seniors could teach the younger generation that just coming in track and field and all activities for stuff. We could teach them how to do it and benefit them by going out and see
Mhm.
if they could try to, if they have the talent to go to that level, because all what somebody need is a push.
Yeah.
So that they could do, like, get the older ones
Mhm.
to older seniors, like the seniors, to help the juniors with the thing. So from one time we could just do a late thing in June or something, some in summer and stuff. Like recruit like the Olympics there. That's a good thing too, because they have some students and people coming in look for the Olympics sports, different categories sports in Belize. So that's a great thing that we could try.
Yeah. Because the thing is that what happened is that when it comes to conflict of interest, because I realized you got some scenarios, but I would love that we continue this discussion next week, because what happened is that it's not that the fact that organization really do discourage. I think it's the fact that, again, you have to look at standards, because yes, an athlete, that's why when you look at first, second, third place here in Belize in any sport, especially track, you might think that yeah, they win and they be able to go out to represent, but it's not. But the biggest one is the standard time, especially that is placed on an international scale. It's like if you don't reach a certain time or a certain level, you know, they don't qualify you. And that is something, is like, it's good that it's able to, it does helps in a way that it makes us fight to reach those standards, but at the same time, I think something like that is like, if it's like if a new athlete comes on board, I think one of the biggest things they should do is to let them know that all right, if you're going to strive, we'll call it, there's a certain time, because you don't want athletes to enter the sports and they do not know about these standards, you know. So that is a discussion we would like to discuss another time to continue, because it's very crucial to know when it comes to certain kinds of infants. So the game is over for basketball. So right now Argentina has won 108 and Belize is at 73. So it's a well played game to the Belizean boys. So Belize do very great. We applaud them. They really do represent us very well. And I hope that they do manage to learn from it and be able to train more harder, so that next year and the years goes by, they can do better. So with all that being said, guys, thanks very much, Kaden and Gilbert, to joining on. It's a great discussion. So we will continue with this again next week.
One more thing, Christopher.
Yeah.
Before could fix the link problem, because I still have the same problem.
All right. I guess I could talk to Mr. Clinton. We will discuss about the issues with that technicality right there, so that
I will
you can
probably have
come.
to send it to him directly, right?
Um. Yeah, I think I have to. All right. Yeah. So
I
Gilbert.
think that
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We just all work it out. We just all try find a
yeah,
way that is
we
easier.
find a way. We find a way.
Yeah.
Okay then.
All right, then, guys.
Thank you.
No problem. All right, guys. Thanks very much for joining. Good night
Bye.
and take care.
Later, everybody.
Good night.
Yeah. Ezekiel call them dry bones. One must know, men have lost their course on a tourboat, drift from shore without anchor and rope, unsecure. Amazing the battering wind and the trade waters. Golgotha's Titanic, egotistic big ship got rapture. Self-destruct disaster out there on the ocean floor. We can run, hide and beat. Conscience will surely find it. Skip, jump and leap. A clean heart certainly keep.
Good evening. It is midweek, Wednesday, which means that we're on the internet with our weekly podcast. I am G. Michael Reed, expecting to be joined shortly by Mr. Gregory Morrison out of Los Angeles and Mr. Joe Cowie out of Belize, and maybe one of the girls will pop in. We were expecting our guest tonight, having a little difficulty getting through the link with him. Hopefully we will be able. He did give a commitment that he'd be on. I'm speaking about attorney at law Richard Dickey Bradley. Always an exciting show with Dickey on Dick. We're also hoping to get for next week attorney Godfrey Smith, who has also indicated that he might be willing to come on and discuss some of these constitutional reforms, the proposals that have been put forward. A couple of interesting things happening in the world. Well, on the local scene, Belize just lost again by 30 points. They lost yesterday by, I believe, 96 points. And they won the first game. Obviously, they're unprepared for this level of competition. And I imagine we just have to keep trying, keep working. But I believe what's necessary is that we go from scratch. We have to have competitions in our primary schools, up to our high schools, and certainly our tertiary level of education. These kids must be prepared. We must have a standing team. If we're going to have a good representation, let us have a funded team, standing team that will always be there, always practicing and getting the support. We have some of these plush government jobs that we can give these kids, or we can encourage them to get scholarships abroad, and while they're playing for junior colleges over there, they are able to represent the country until they become full-fledged Americans, no? So let us hope that we can build on this. It is not a good showing. Certainly, there are people who are out there still standing 1,000 behind, they said. Very, very proud of these guys. I am, as a Belizean, yes, we are all Belizeans, and Belize representing, we stand behind them. But to be proud, I don't know. I think it's a little embarrassing when you get blown out like that. Maybe you could have saved the money and stay home, no? But nevertheless, we're there. We still, I don't know if we have another game to play or how that goes. So we're not doing well in that competition over there in Argentina. Argentina, of course, the host country, played today against Belize, and it was another massive loss. They didn't do badly up to like 5 or 10 minutes left in the first half, and then things fell apart. Then they came to within 11 points one time. Then that was it. They just gave up. Some silly turnovers. Just no fall in the 3-point shooter. Things that should not be done at that level. You have to be tighter than missing a lot of shots. I didn't see many plays being run as such. You know, whipping the ball around, getting in position. Late in the game, I saw some one-on-one trying to get it done. We're not ready, people. We have work to do. So, in the international community now, there have been two significant changes in governments. In South Africa, the South African government that was led by Nelson Mandela, since he came out of prison and became president, lost for the first time. Another party is in power. I'm concerned about whether the case proceeding forward will be pushed the same way. Will this new government hold the same staunch support and try to continue with that case at the ICJ? The next big change of government was Mexico. This one as interesting now. The first female president, Claudia Sheinbaum, and as you can discern from the name, she's Jewish. The first woman president and the first Jewish president of Mexico. How will they, what stand will they take as it comes to the situation over there in the Middle East? And how many other countries have Jewish parliamentarians or Jewish members of government vying to take over those countries? How dangerous will it be? Should it be looked at with some skepticism, some concern? I believe maybe there should be some concern. So anyway, she is following in the footsteps of her predecessor, Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador. And what's wrong with all these names, man? How about James Brown, Otis Redding, John Doe, Al Green? And then got 5, 6, 7 names. How about Gregory Morrison? 2
Gregory
names.
Brian Morrison.
Oh, that's 3 names.
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, sir. How are you doing? Are you there, Greg? Your picture is frozen on the screen, and all I heard was that correction. I don't see your mic on mute. You try talk? Okay, if you try talk, I'm not hear you. Anyway, so we have those 2 countries that have changed. We wonder what's going to happen in November in the good old US of A. Of course, many people believe that there won't be any significant shift in policies as such, certainly not in foreign policy. I saw a clip of Trump's son-in-law going to Gaza last year, and his first comment was, "What's fantastic real estate, how valuable this is." Many believe that the intent here is to ethnic cleanse this country, get rid of all the Palestinians. There's a guy, Montague, who earlier when the whole thing started, 1917, in fact, when this first came out, he wrote a paper to the British Parliament. He was at the time the only member of the British Parliament, and he had some interesting things to say. It's a lengthy document. I could read some of it for you. He first of all suggested that the policy of His Majesty's government is anti-Semitic, and in result will prove a rallying ground for anti-Semites in every country in the world. Now, this was in 1917, and I don't know he has been proven yet. But he goes on to say, as a one Jewish minister in the government, I may be allowed as my colleagues an opportunity of expressing views which may be peculiar to myself, which was suggesting that he wasn't in agreement with the whole move, the Zionist move, to create this Jewish state in Palestine. He goes on, I believe most firmly that this war, what was happening in Palestine, which they were moving people out and there were killings, has been a death blow to internationalism and that it has proved an opportunity for renewal of the slackening sense of nationality. You know, there are two trains of thought there that he's looking at. One on nationalism, and the next is internationalism. Do we want to proceed on a national basis where every man is looking out for himself, or this internationalism where the whole world comes together on a set of rules abided by everyone? As it is right now, we have a United Nations with their own specific sets of rules, but there are two countries that are outside of that set of regulations there, and that's the US and Israel. They don't abide by anything. In fact, they're not even signatures. Certainly US is not signature to the ICC, the International Criminal Court. That's the court that is seeking indictments against Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. How that is going to work out, we don't know, because only countries who are signatures are able to go to make their risk. If he goes to those countries, and there are many of them. In fact, there are more than are not. There are about 143 nations, of course. So he will be stuck in probably Israel, the US, and the UK, which are some very big countries anyway. So nevertheless, this gentleman wrote a letter, and he was very much against it. It is in this atmosphere that the government proposes to endorse the formation of a new nation with a new home in Palestine. Now, this is a Jew writing way back in 1917, when the idea was first broached by Lord Rothschild and Mr. Balfour. That he later became a lord, actually. So he had just received the correspondence that was outlining the plan to create this homeland for the Jews in Palestine. And this is why I have held that God did not give that land to those people. The British did, in return for their help in World War I, which in turn led to the problems that they faced in World War II. Hitler did not forget, and he certainly did not forgive. So anyway, he goes on, and in this atmosphere, the government proposes to endorse. I read that part. The nation will presumably be formed of Jewish Russians, Jewish Englishmen, Jewish Romanians, Jewish Bulgarians, and Jewish citizens of all nations. Survivors or relations of those who have fought or laid down their lives for the different countries which I have mentioned, at a time when the 3 years that they have lived through have united their outlook and thought more closely than ever with the countries of which they are citizens. Mr. Lord Montague says, Zionism has always seemed to me to be a mischievous political creed, untenable by any patriotic citizen of the United Kingdom. He was speaking to the fact that Jews who were in the United Kingdom and other countries would travel to Palestine and become the citizens of the new Israeli government that was to be put in place. This now he wrote in 1917, about 40 years before they actually went ahead with the plan in 1948, pushed out a lot of the native people that were there. The indigenous folks were pushed aside, and they were displaced. They had their villages destroyed, their crops seized, their land seized, their dwelling places seized, and the state of Israel was created. I believe it was a big mistake to allow them to name that country that. That in itself is why a lot of people, in particular in our own country, is siding with these people, because they believe they're siding with a child of God, the chosen of God. I really don't see chosen people acting the way the Jews are acting. They are ruthless, heartless, atrocious. It's just you could deplete the superlatives and not adequately describe the method of madness that is happening here, my people. Let me go on a little bit while Greg is trying to get on into this paper, and it can be found on the internet, folks. Really, it's the Memorandum of Edwin Montagu on the anti-Semitism of the present government, submitted to the British cabinet in August 1817. Now, this was a Jew. There are a number of Jews who have come out against what is happening in Palestine. There are a number of Jews that have been against it from the very beginning. There's one gentleman, Norman Finkelstein. People, if you want to know the true story, he is the foremost authority on everything in Gaza and the whole Palestinian matter. He has studied it for 4 decades. He's a professor. This man is a very brave gentleman, has gone on a limb to try to teach us what is happening. There's another gentleman that's talking a lot of stuff, good things. I can't recall his name at this time, though I've seen a number of videos with him. Let me try this again until Greg gets on. It seems to be inconceivable that Zionism should be officially recognized by the British government, and that Mr. Balfour should be authorized to say that Palestine was to be reconstituted as the national home of the Jewish people. I do not know what this involves, but I assume that it means that Mohammedans and Christians are to make way for the Jews, and that the Jews should be put in all positions of preference and should be peculiarly associated with the Palestine in the same way that England is with English or France is with the French, that the Turks are with Turkey. That the Turks and other Mohammedans and Palestine will be regarded as foreigners, just in the same way as Jews will hereafter be treated as foreigners in every country but Palestine. Perhaps also citizenship must be granted only as a result of a religious test. There we go. Gregory, how are you doing? You back?
Good evening. Good evening. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yes, I can hear you. Welcome.
Sorry, I was having some connection issues.
Obviously, the internet is not a perfect science. You know, it tends to barak from time to time. Yeah, I was just sharing a bit from an article from Edwin Montagu, one of the first English lords of the English, a Jewish guy, by the way, who was dead set against the whole settling of colonizing of Palestine. We see still the problem still occurring over there with more people jumping up and saying, stop it. And old Netanyahu still saying, up yours. I think it's disrespectful. Yeah. We're talking about the fact that Mexico has a new president.
Yes, that was
female.
Yes, that was a tremendous victory for them. But I think the final contest was between 2 women, so it would have been a woman one way or the other. Would have been
right.
The end result, which was great.
It seems, it seems this woman that won is a protege of the previous government.
Yes.
So they're suggesting that not much is going to change, that the policies will remain the same. One interesting fact is that she's Jewish.
Yes, she is of Jewish descendants that had immigrated to Mexico some many years ago. So she is Mexican citizen. She was born in Mexico from all accounts, but her family did immigrate to Mexico after the war.
You know, according to the Jewish culture, though, you're a Jew first, and then everything else after that. And in fact, the whole.
Well, that's what the Mayans in Belize say too.
Well, there you go. I object to them also. trying to do that. I believe that at some point in the world we'll have to learn to live together. I mean, all men have the right to the equal rights, and to if you're gonna hold your ethnicity as some proof of superiority, I don't think it holds much water at all. And judge a man not by the color of his skin, but by the content of his character. And truer words have not been spoken. So we're expecting decay, Greg.
Yes, yes,
It,
yes.
it
I,
seems
I
like
was
CY is
told
having a
so.
little difficulty getting a link. And again, well, if you in the good old USA is having internet problems, you can imagine how we might be having some here in
Yeah.
Belize.
Well, at least you guys have power today, so that's good.
Well,
How has that situation shaked itself
not
out? Is it
not all day, not all day. We had a couple of blackouts. Many times when I wake up, I see the light flashing on the clock, and I know that it left and came back. No,
okay?
fortunately, sometimes I sleep through it. Sometimes the heat wakes me up because it's still insufferably hot. I mean, it's normally we Biden is seeking a ceasefire in Gaza and also contemplating closing the border to asylum seekers.
I don't think he's contemplating. I think they made a decision to do it, and
To
they
close
have
the
written
border.
an executive order that well, it's for people that just normally walk across the border and claim asylum. For
But
people that
isn't that what
well,
Trump had done?
Trump had just closed it under restrictions for COVID. It wasn't under the same condition. There was a health emergency. So
But he did threaten that he would. He threatened that
he
he would.
He threatened that he would,
Yeah.
and he found ways of doing it, but not just as blatantly as President Biden has in this instance. And he totally backed away from his previous positions that he had condemned on this. So he's getting a lot of flack from it, and I think it's putting him. He think it might help him, but with
deeper
more
deeper in the hole.
conservative, with more conservative voters. But I think he's probably putting at risk a lot of the more liberal people that would tend to support him just on a given. Although, a good many Americans are concerned about the border and are concerned about the open policy that just have this stream of people moving across. So that cuts in some deep ways that sometimes it's not clearly understood how it will shake out, because I speak to many people that are regular people, and they might be Black, they might be white people, they might be Hispanic people, and they all have that concern that a country is not protected unless it has first the instinct to protect its border. And so that is natural, and we want to do that, and we need to do that. We need to do it here in the United States, and we need to do it back home in Belize.
I was talking about the difference between nationalism, though, and internationalism. And it seems that we're heading more to nationalism, where people are more concerned about and I don't know if that's the way to be going. I think we have to learn to live together, and that's the point I've been trying to make forever.
Well, whenever things get tight. Good evening, Lisa.
Lisa, are
Good
you
evening,
on?
gents.
Good
Yes,
evening.
good
Yeah.
evening. Sorry
Good
for
evening.
tardy.
No problem. Yeah, whenever things get tight and uncertain, that's the first instincts of people, I believe, to kind of shore up the home team and the home base and try to see where things are. The problem the United States have, I believe, is that they do need immigration. They do. The American population is aging. It's shrinking in some respects.
And they're not going to do the menial labor.
And they're not, and they need people to do these tasks that the migrants workers are doing. So I think it's just comfortable to blame those people and make them the scapegoat. And what the system wants to do is what it had done back in the 50s and 40s, where they just have this workforce of people coming across, staying for periods of time, 3 months, 6 months, whatever the harvesting time is, round them up and send them back. But see, that policy worked for a long time when the border was much freer and you didn't have as much restriction going back and forth. But the America created its own problem when it started putting restrictions to getting back in. Then the people many of them that prefer to go between borders and live part of their time comfortably in their homeland of Mexico or whatever other Latin American or Central American country they are from, they were comfortable doing that. But as the process of getting back in became more difficult, people preferred to stay. And so it is their own creation that has set this up, but they do need to maintain somehow a policy that allows the people to come across. But they want them to come across, do the work, but not give them any of the rights and benefit that is associated. They don't want to give them insurance. They don't want to give them social security. They don't want to give them any of those kind of things. But they do recognize that the needs exist.
They're in a tight spot. I mean, I see Mr. Cole. Joe, you there?
Yeah, I think I am. Am I?
Yes, you are.
I can hear you. I see your
You see a
picture.
still picture of you.
I see that picture of your 20-year-old self that you have up there.
Are you hearing me though?
Yes, man, loud and clear.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Because I wonder what happened. I can't get the link on my computer, but it's all right. I will use the phone.
Okay.
All right. So you're hearing us. All right.
Yeah.
When we discussed that issue in the U.S. where Biden has closed the border, and he has suggested a ceasefire. You didn't talk about that, Greg, because he has proposed one, but Netanyahu is basically saying, "Man, your own business. Drink some water."
Well, I think Israel is on for the ceasefire. They have put some conditions on it that maybe is not so appealing to the.
But you know, they're the ones that proposed the ceasefire. You know that?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
their
That's
ceasefire.
why, that's why I said they have put some conditions on it that is not as appealing to the Palestinians.
So they obviously they don't want this ceasefire because Netanyahu
Well,
said
it's a
he doesn't want to
but when
stop
you
this
do-
war.
Yeah, but it's a negotiating. They're winning and they're controlling the narrative and they're controlling everything on the ground.
Okay.
So I don't think.
Yeah, go
I
ahead,
don't think-
guys.
I don't think they're keen on a ceasefire, and it's probably just a show to for the most part to the worldwide community.
Well, as it is, guys, those the Gaza and the the Palestinians and the Israelis, I don't think that is gonna have an immediate resolution, especially since this is a long history of back and forth. As much as the United States would want, or we, the people on the other side of the of the ocean, would like to see an end to it. I don't foresee an immediate resolution at all. Both sides feel like they have rights. It's just like I see religions. All practicing religions feel like their religions is the truth and the only truth, and this is their truth. Only that it's a vicious way of exercising and expressing that truth. That truth, to the point that lives are being affected in deaths and in tragic ways. So. Like I said, I don't foresee anything immediate. It's gonna be another 6 or 7 months before we see something truly drastically happens, and that may also boil down to how our voters vote at the end of this year. I think is how this is going to swing and make an effect
Well, the problem
on
I
a global view.
yeah, the problem we have mainly in this country right now with the issue is that both presidents, both political parties are are pretty much for the go of whatever Israel is doing. There's nothing stopping any of it, because once the Congress is willing to make the appropriation of funds, Israel
Right.
will do whatever it wants with the weapon, and we're giving them $100 billion of weapon. Even with Ukraine, we giving them 40 billion, and we're the weapons we have now, we're now allowing them to shoot directly into Russia. So we just see things widening on every scale, on every avenue we look at. It's just getting more vicious in every way, as we look around, and so it shows that we're in for some very tough time and some very uncomfortable time, and more of that nationalistic type of attitude we'll see from people everywhere as we move out into the rest of this year, for sure, I believe.
What is sad is that if they allow Israel to continue getting away with this, and I say Israel sparingly because I don't think that's the name of that country, and they should never have named it that. But if they allow them to do what they're doing, they're basically testing bullying and allowing bullying to go as far as it wants to. Other countries will say, well, we can do it. You didn't stop them. How are you going to stop us? And we believe in a part that we have a claim over us, and we have a bigger nation. We talk about millions of people as opposed to a few 100,000 here in Belize. And not only a few, we have a very small army, not much to speak of. We don't have very nationalistic people at all. We have divisions between our ethnic groups here at home and between our people in the diaspora and at home. So we have lots of bridges to cross before we get to a point where we can say, you know what, we stand as a united country, and we're not gonna give an inch. And we sing it now, we talk about it, but are we really ready to back it up? That's the question.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Mr. Coy.
What happened? I wanted to give my perspective on the Israeli-Palestinian issue, and I am looking maybe from the perspective of the half full glass.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Israel is indeed a superpower in the area that it exists. Israel is a surrogate of the United States. And America sees Israel as part of its national interest, but it has no commitment under any treaty with Israel as it has with the NATO countries. But it has given it support as much as it gives, and even more, to the NATO countries. Although they have a treaty, touch one, touch all. There's no such treaty with Israel, but it's committed. So if you watch at the initial stage, Biden was lockstep with Israel, unconditional support. But you can sense how world opinion, it may move slow, but it moves, how the world opinion begin to shift the U.S. position when the majority of the countries of this world have gone against Israel. Israel have lost a lot of support internationally.
Oh, yeah.
And while it remains a superpower in the area, and while it remains, let's call it a protege of the United States, the truth about it, the Israeli people themselves, many of the voters in Israel, I would think, want a change, because they understand what is happening globally, that they may have the military power with the support of the United States, but to be losing so many supporters that were one time with this, Israel has lost a lot of support from countries that were friendly towards it because of what it is doing in Palestine. So I believe that the November election in America, we just had one in Mexico. I don't know how much effect that will have in the Middle East, but I think the one in November in the US, although it may appear to us that the two parties support Israel, but I don't think they support them necessarily for the same reason right now.
Yeah, but with the
Correct.
foreign policy, and you have the Jewish lobby, which really runs the country. I mean, make no mistake. So I don't see any change at all in foreign policy, Joe. I see Biden and Trump. In fact, Trump might be worse. Really, I'm starting to see that now.
I think there will be a change in the foreign policy if there is a change in the election in November. If there's a change in the president, there will be a change in foreign policy. Evidently, the two parties do not share foreign policy in every case.
Oh man, you'd have to prove that to me. I hear you talking. You'd have to show me a few points as to why you feel so.
If you look right now, how do you see the Republicans and the Democrats when it comes to foreign policy with the BRIC countries? How do
Well,
you see
in that regards they do, but with regards to Israel,
how do you see
they're the same.
to China?
Twill them.
The Republicans under Trump is not carrying out the Reagan Republican policy.
Oh.
The national policy under Trump is Trump's policy.
Yeah, but no.
That's some decency about them. The many Republicans, let's call them the Reagan Republicans. They are no longer the Reagan Republicans. They are lining up to bend down to kiss the ring of Trump. So the foreign policy of the United States, if Trump were to be in, is not the U.S. foreign policy. It will be strictly Donald Trump policy.
But as it pertains to Israel, there will be absolutely no change.
I would think that the change with Israel, definitely, I won't expect it to be anything diametrical. But I think it will be a bit lukewarm. And I will say this, I think Trump...
You think Trump will be lukewarm to Israel?
I think that Trump is more favorably disposed to Putin type than to Netanyahu type.
Well, that is true. That is true, but I don't think the policy will change.
Yeah, they're right there. I don't see a connection with those two at all. We might see a change in a war in Ukraine. Maybe you could talk Biden into backing off or settling. And in fact, Trump is not a fan of NATO. Remember, and NATO is the cause of that whole war in Ukraine.
But look at the position the Republican Congress took when Biden decided that if Israel goes into Rafah, it will withhold those offensive weapons. And look how the Republicans gone at him and actually oppose him doing it.
Well, and many Democrats too.
Some Democrats too, I must say.
There's when it comes to when it comes to matters at home, you will find some differences between the Republicans and the Democrats. When it comes to American foreign policy, they tend to stick together on that. And there's the American trumps everything else. Their nationalism is strong. The patriotism is strong. I don't know. I'm hoping I'll be wrong. I don't see it, Joe, and you're not showing me anything to make me see that.
Well, let me try it again one more time. I'm saying to you that while traditionally I accept that the Republicans and the Democrats have the same national policy guided by the Monroe Doctrine, they are the same. I agree with that. I am saying that since Trump came to office, there is not an American foreign policy as was driven by the Republicans, which was, in fact,
that is true.
Compatible or the same.
But that might be a different argument, Joan. Yeah, you might very well be true.
But it becomes the de facto American national policy.
But I am premising it. I said to you before that I think the November the elections can make a difference. It will.
It will make a difference.
If Trump were to win the election in America, America will be a different America.
Why?
Oh, yes, it will.
Why? Because he won before. He did 4 years.
I think it will.
You need to understand that Donald Trump is not carrying out American policy. He's carrying out Donald Trump's policy. Today, you will notice more and more groups are coming together to stop him. They are coming together because they realize the danger if he were to win.
I tell you what, I think he'll be in bigger danger if he loses, because his Proud Boys, his supporters, Trump is already saying if he loses, it will have been a fake election. They would have cheated him.
Yeah.
Once he can get that narrative going, and it takes hold, given the state of unrest that now exists in the country as it is, they will turn that hate and that discontent against themselves. I think America is in for some
I
interesting
think
times.
that could be true. Depends on how the people in Congress react to a possible Trump loss. If they line up again and keep saying it was stolen, I think it could create big problem for this
It
whole country. But if
do you
but
I
if
mean, do
they
you think the
step up and
sentencing will have any do you guys think the sentencing will have any effect on all of this?
Nah,
no,
nah,
no,
I mean, it's the
very
same,
minimal,
and I
very
said
minimal.
it's the same thing. It's the same
he,
thing I said last
he'll
week. I
forgive
said
himself.
he
He'll
was
forgive.
impeached twice by the House of Representatives, and he got a conviction. If the impeachment
No, he
didn't
didn't get a
phase
conviction.
him,
He didn't get.
why would
If
it?
he was
Why would
impeached,
this
he didn't get a
phase him
conviction.
any?
All right, guys, let's grab Dickie before he go again. He's
Good evening,
they
Mr.
said Tricky
Bradley.
Dicky is gonna slip away. Dickie,
Yes,
welcome,
sir.
welcome. You're here. You made it. I mean, I wonder if with all the black house and whatnot, maybe
Wonder no more. Here I am.
you are here. Yes, man.
Time,
Sorry
time.
about that, Lisa. We were. Give us before we go anywhere your comments, your view on the American election. Should one win or the other, will there be a change in policy? Will something happen different than what's happening?
What little I know as an outsider, who, like your very good self, have um, have opinions on matters.
Internet. We got
Okay.
internet. YouTube.
Okay. Yes, there would be. Generally, America is run by the corporations and the what they call the military-industrial complex and so
Oh,
on. But at this particular juncture in history, um, should Donald Trump get a second term as president of the United States of America, there would be some huge shifts in policies. We will see a new United States of America. We will see the America that has
for better or worse.
much worse, worse from our perspective in the sense that the people in the United States of America who support Donald Trump and who are called Republicans, as a general rule, are of the view that the United States of America that they grew up in and their parents and grandparents grew up in has been changing, and in their view, it has been changing for the worse, because they were shocked that a black man actually became the president in the United States of America, and that the large number of black peoples, Hispanic peoples, and non-white peoples are increasingly becoming a huge factor to be taken into account. And they feel like they are losing the country they know and they control. And that is also happening at a time when across the globe, the United States of America and the white tribes that used to basically dominate most of the important nations in the world, that the white tribes are now appearing to lose a level of control, both economically and otherwise. So Donald Trump's vision and mission is to make his nation great again. And he has a different view as to what constitutes making America great again. And I would also add, my brothers and sisters, that at least he is a bit, at least you know who you're voting for and what you're going to get, because he's not hiding anything. America will have the largest deportation of human beings in their history. America will end the Ukraine NATO war he says, in a day or two. The borders will finally have a whole wall, the way China once had a wall to keep out invading forces. America will not so much feel it has an obligation to European nations who are not following American policies. And so there would be a huge ground shift in us living at a time when America is not the United States of America. We, at least my generation, grew up thinking that this was the shining city on the hill. This was the land of milk and honey. This is the land for, this is the, what do you call it? The home of the brave.
Land of opportunity. Yeah, home of the free and the brave. Yeah.
Yeah, so that clearly will not any longer be the United States.
But
that
Dickie,
we fell in love with.
I think the saddest part of it is that the choice is not. I mean, when you look at these two fellows, I know see one Rambo, I don't see a Captain America, I don't see nothing. When you look at Putin, you see Putin stroll with confidence, and you just you see a different type of leader, one leaderly type of guy. These two guys in America, they have their own unique sense of weaknesses, I think. Biden, certainly a frail old man, and Trump, not the brightest bulb on a string of lights for sure. I don't know how they're going to win. How America is looking bad all around, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
Well, I think we know if we could, being outsiders, it helps a bit to I mean, perspective and angle is also important in matters. I think like 2 weeks ago, I read that there were 553 universities where students have been camping out, where they have been publicly expressing, protesting in relation to the horrible situation in Gaza. You know what has unfolded in front of our eyes. It is not just an international humanitarian crisis of one powerful nation that has always been dominating the Palestinian people, but there is literally a slaughter, perhaps maybe a bit, we could even say that they are murdering those people, and the figures are frightening. Up until Sunday afternoon, the figures that the United Nations had put out, if you give me 1 second, I scribbled it here, that they have injured 82,777 human beings, and they have succeeded in killing 36,479 persons. And they make the point that death toll is not accurate because they do not count the thousands of human beings who have been buried in the rubble in this ongoing slaughter. Even as you and I and all of us are trying to have a conversation tonight, the Israeli army is still bombing and killing people in Palestine.
Well,
how could the United States of America, the land we all love, how could they not push for a ceasefire? Just stop killing the people, and how could they not want that?
The unfortunate thing, they kill are mostly women and children. That is the problem. So many children. I was watching a documentary where they were saying that because this didn't start on October the 7th, and they were killing Palestinians long before.
Yeah, 75 years.
Yeah, man. And there was a big one in 2014 where the people went and stood by the wall, because they were fenced in. They consider it an open air prison, the biggest open air prison. And the Israeli snipers were shooting, but they were shooting all and in their legs.
Yeah.
So everybody was shot below the knee. So the death toll wasn't as high as it might have been, but many are left crippled and unable to walk and take care of their families, or
Yeah,
certainly not fight anymore. No.
yeah,
So
that's a sad. I mean, the world has shown. Well, we can't say the world because well, look what is so interesting, ladies and gentlemen, that the country, the nation that took Israel to the International Criminal Court, to the International Court of Justice, is not the British, it's not the Americans,
yeah,
nor the French. It
but they
is South
supported it.
Africa. South Africa is the nation that led the genocide court action.
Dickie, there,
That speaks volume. That
there,
speaks volume.
there's a change of government in South Africa as we speak.
Right.
Do you see any change in the attitude at the World Court? Are they going to stick with that
No,
case?
because at that court it is nations who take up issues, and the ruling party is still in control. Ramaphosa will probably be re-elected by the coalition government as the president. Internally, there are going to be some changes and some dynamics. This is Nelson Mandela's party, which has let down the South African people
Which
Yeah.
lost?
because poverty is rampant. They have not had the land for them to be able to prosper, and a whole lot of dynamics. But speaking of South Africa, should kind of bring us to a place called Belize. We need to check for ourselves. We have some serious problems that are not even discussed.
Yes.
You
And
wanna you
I
wanna touch on a few of them, and then we got a few
well, I
minutes.
wouldn't mind at all. But let me, before I go there, over the weekend, I had the fortune of speaking to 2 or 3 persons whose views I respect. And I see the picture of Joe Cowie is not fair neither for Lisa Castanedes. Yeah,
They're
it's
both
very
on listening. They're both listening intently.
okay,
Just
but their pictures are small. My picture should be small and their picture should be big.
Mr. Bradley,
But
additive
and
chance for work, man.
Aria was on the screen just now, but she's left
Aria
us.
was on. I didn't see her.
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
know Lisa is
she
on.
didn't. She came. She logged
Aria
in.
is on Facebook Live.
okay. Well, let me just, I want to, let me start here, G Mike and Gregory. Right around the Easter, shortly after Easter, I received several text messages and calls um, giving me the sad news that David Gibson had passed away. David Gibson was really a huge asset to our country. And I had spoken with the Prime Minister, and we were discussing the need to have public service reform, that the public service in our country has been on a steady decline, and it's a matter which is happening in front of our eyes, for which we can't appreciate what is happening. And so when I heard David Gibson had left this earth, that was like, like it's like, well, he's in my mind, he was like the last of the Mohicans. He was the only one that would have been able to head a commission or a committee or whatever to try and bring the public service
But
into
that's a
the
that's a, that's a that's an indictment on our people, though. I mean, given how good he was, but
Yeah.
I'm sure we have people that can step up, don't you think?
Oh, well, I was coming to that, now, having looked at the little picture you have of Joe Cowie, because Joe Cowie, the former Prime Minister Said Musa in cabinet on several occasions had said to us that Joe was ahead of his time, because Joe Cowie was a man who was a disciple of institutional. He wanted institutional reform. He wanted institutional strengthening for the country of Belize. And there were several persons in cabinet who could not appreciate what that really means. So yes, you are correct. Joe Cowie is another of those persons who is a huge asset that can assist us. Let me pause here, ladies and gentlemen, to say this, that It is the public service that runs the nation of Belize. The cabinet makes policies, approves policies that turn into legislation and are sent to the legislative branch to go through the process in parliament. But the public service, the public servants are the ones who day to day grind out delivering the services of the government to the people. This is very, very important. You have a big company, you want your workers to be able to satisfy your customers. You want your supervisors who are in charge of these workers to be able to see that everything is going like clockwork.
Speaking of the public service, I want to touch base for you on a matter that you were speaking about last week. I don't know, I heard you on Krem, and you were commenting on a case within the DPP's office where they hired two new people, I believe a deputy director and an assistant deputy director. Am I correct? And
Partly.
And you were representing people in that department who felt that they weren't given the preference that they deserve for being in there so long and giving service that they did. Correct me on how that went.
Okay, yes. Well, the issue is that there is a group of about 21 attorneys at law who also practice in the criminal division of the courts. And they have formed what they call an association of defense attorneys. That association was approached by the prosecutors in the office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. And they were reaching out to us to ask us if we would support them if they took protest action, industrial action, which would more than likely involve them going on some form of sick out, stay out, which means that the courts would not be able to function. You can't have the Supreme Court if the prosecutors are not there. You can't have magistrate courts because police officers are prosecuting, which is unconstitutional. But let's stick to this issue. Two important positions were created, the post of deputy DPP and the post of assistant DPP. Those posts were advertised. Now, the advertisement of the post on the one hand is good, but on the other hand is bad because you have career prosecutors who have worked in the DPP office for 10 years, 12 years, I think one have 15 years. You have persons who have basically been giving their whole life to their career. Now, there's no deputy to the Director of Public Prosecution. So here comes a position. Clearly, you are in the organization. You would think that, well, let me apply. I'm the next most senior one. I'm the one that do the heavy lifting. I'm the one that's getting all the convictions in the court. Let me apply, see if maybe I would be considered. Several persons inside the DPP's office and other lawyers who work in the government service in other ministries, Attorney General Ministry, the Solicitor General's office, customs, lands, and so on, they also applied. They were not given even the courtesy of an acknowledgement of their applications.
All right, Dickie. Some might say I go slow, and then we notice because they seem to be going slow anyway. When you consider the conviction, notwithstanding the prowess of attorneys like yourself, who do an admirable job of winning cases. But here's the thing, though, really, because they're creating two new posts. The argument is whether they gave the priority to others who were there. But I hear nothing about why create two new posts. Why the need for these two new posts? Can you justify us that there's a need, justify to us that there's a need? And can you tell us where it will help the whole process going forward?
Excellent question. These are the discussions we do not have in our country. We have several media who are doing a good job in terms of bringing the news, especially sensational news. But there are lots of other things which are under the radar but are important to the development of the country. Now, we all know at home and abroad that crime is on the increase. Never mind the official statistics that, well, the murder rate this month is one less than a similar month last year, and not studied apart. The truth of the matter is that crime in the country of Belize is perhaps among the top 3 concerns of every citizen. Persons are not safe in the country. You can kill a Belizean anywhere, anytime. Now, the court system.
If you're trying to frighten us, you succeeded.
No, I'm telling you for real. Ask Joe Coway, ask anybody in Belize that, listen, they have several businesses that have opened on the north side. No business opened on the south side. You have villages which were so happy, go lucky. They are cricket, they are football. Gangs have turned up in those places. The official statistics in the country, I believe, is that in 2008, there were 9 gangs. In 2020, there are 26 gangs. Something is really seriously wrong, gentlemen and ladies. Instead of less gangs, we have more gangs. We have a problem. We do have a problem. We are not safe in this country.
We have a problem, Dickie, but you paint a dismal picture. I don't know.
I'm setting the background, but to your question, the question is, do we need new positions in the DPP office? And hell yes, we do, because the amount of court cases. We have a backlog in the magistrate court and in the Supreme Court. You can't have backlog when you have rising crime.
You're talking about 2 positions that are, in your words, very important positions, high-paying positions, probably with vehicles. Also, these positions come. Now, that's a weight on the wage bill, which we know is already overburdened. How are we going to say to the people, listen, we have to charge you more taxes, bread to go up, everything have to go up. We're going to deliver for you now more convictions. Instead of a 3% conviction rate, we try to need 10%. Can we look for that, or is this just another one of those, well, we'll add 2 people to this wage bill, it will happen, and apparently there are people who are there specifically for a purpose, not going through the right process that to get them there. I mean, what is going on here? Are they undermining the DPP? We know that the DPP has security of tenure. Why you need one deputy and one assistant deputy? They're not such a big office, is it?
No, but you might not have 100 employees. But in this case, you're talking about the quality of the work that is put out. We're back to Joe Coway and institutional strengthening. Is there modern management procedures in there? Is it something where there is some kind of proper supervision of each of the councils who have a caseload? That we say, well, all right, we know we give you 10 cases to do for the next 2 months. Looking at the evidence that is available, there's no reason why you can't get 8 out of 10 conviction. Does anybody follow up to find out when they don't get the conviction, what could have gone wrong? Is it a failure here? Is it a failure there? The system is under stress. We're back to Joe Coway.
We're back to Joe Coway indeed. Joe Coway is the one who will ask you, well, how is this going to help the system? How will this help?
Yes, because if you have an important constitutional post like the Director of Public Prosecutions, clearly you can't have one person being chief cook and bottle washer. You don't even have one deputy. There's not even a deputy in such an important department.
Go ahead, Joe.
I would think that under that constitution, one of the priorities that the state owes to the citizen is the security of the citizens. Now, evidently, if you can more pursue cases and get convictions, the hope is that there will be a deterrent. So I think the two posts will damn well justified. I can tell you right now of many posts that have been created, and the amount of people who are employed on contracts getting 50, 60, 70,000 a year, that evidently will never be able to produce what these two people would need to do. So I cannot understand why there should be any quibbling over these two people when there are hundreds of them there that shouldn't be there because they are just
Yeah, but you can't mix them two. That the
But
hammer and the
I'm
hammer.
saying to you, listen to me, Mr. Chairman. I think you're missing the point. Whenever you're going to make decisions, you have to do a cost-benefit analysis. The simple cost-benefit analysis is that the need for those two people, the benefit that will come from what you will pay them will be far greater than the cost.
Yeah, how could you guarantee that?
Because
how is that going to happen?
no, let me try to see how you're going to guarantee it. How can you measure the safety of a person? Can you
No,
measure?
you're going on a tangent there.
No,
Not
that
tangent.
is important. That is important.
That is
If
very
we don't,
important. That's
if we
essential.
don't feel safe, listen. If you can't
But these two posts gonna make people feel safer, and how? That's the question I'm asking.
Yeah, but what Joe is explaining to you is, make we put it in a one Creole kind of way. Can you have a constitutionally guaranteed position that a person is responsible for all public prosecutions in the nation of Belize, and the person him have one deputy?
Exactly.
But that person is not responsible for all here.
Yes.
You said
The
they have a staff.
Constitution,
They have a full staff.
Hold on, man.
Which department in the public sector doesn't have a deputy?
But then again, that's a different matter, man. With the time we're standing here, I'm saying, listen, I'm saying, Ken, what's the justification for adding these two high-paying people to the wage bill? Are they? We already have people in there. You have what? You have 20 people in the office prosecuting cases, prosecuting cases, right?
Yes.
Now, what are they doing? Because the results aren't.
They are prosecutors. They are in court fighting to get a criminal convicted.
Right.
But
not doing too well at all.
Listen, if you have been on a sailboat, you know how important it is that the different persons who are in charge of heist up the John B. Sail, persons who are responsible for being in charge of the rudder, so in time somebody had a left, or in both terms, starboard. You have someone who is supervising what is happening, who is holding a chart in front of them to say, man, so far you have lost 10 out of 12 cases. What is going wrong? Let me explain to you on the ground what happens. Every day, the prosecutor in front of Judge A has a court case. Every day, the prosecutor in front of Judge B has a court case. Listen, I could say, I call up my client and say, boy, here, tomorrow I do something very important to me. We're not going to no court. We're adjourn the case. And so they don't have that luxury. The judge expects when he goes into court, he's going to have a trial. So the prosecutors are literally every day in the trenches.
Right.
They can't see the woods for the trees. They can't take hall back and ask myself, look, what am I doing? I'm taking these files and I am going into court and I keep losing. What is going wrong? Somebody has to have that meeting.
So maybe we need more qualified prosecutors.
Well, but we can't run the ship, and maybe we need to know that there's somebody in there who has responsibility.
Listen, I will.
The DPP can't do everything. The DPP.
I will take your word. I will take your word. You and Joe, we're going with that. All right, then. All right. And I think that is okay. Make we go, because we don't want to lose so much time before we get to the crux of our matter here this evening. We don't want to talk about constitutional reform. Is it necessary? What are some of the recommendations that we should be looking at? How engaged are we going to be as a country, as the public? John Q. public out there must be engaged. Is there a move to get everybody on board with this move to reform?
I guess I will start off the talking on that. Said earlier I saw a picture of Aria Lightfoot, one of my heroines, on your screen,
Mhm.
and she was offering her time and her knowledge to assist the country, I believe, to assist the Constitutional Commission to be able to broaden the horizon of who they can get the message to. Well, let me back up and say this. A constitution in any democratic country is an important existential document that you cannot function without.
Given.
Any efforts, every effort to improve the constitution of your country, that is big. That is a huge, important transformational exercise.
Of course, there's an old saying: "If it ain't broke, why fix it?"
Well, it is broken. Every day we see that and we hear that our system is broken.
Joe, where are you, Joe? Because this will go back to Joe Cowie again. Joe will consistently tell you that it is not that it is broken because the laws are there; they're just not being abided by. We know
But
that.
let me preempt Joe so he could go from a different angle. There is no requirement that political parties register so that the public can know how much money they are getting, how
Well,
much they
okay,
are
that's one.
spending.
That's
There is
one.
no, hold on, there is no law that calls for whistleblowers so
Okay.
that people who see corruption, wrongdoing, abuse, irregularities can feel comfortable to come forward and make a complaint to the public, and they do not jeopardize their jobs. Instead, they are rewarded
Do you
for
need
coming
that in the
forward.
Constitution? Wouldn't the laws of the country take care of that?
Well, which better place than to put it in a law that the politicians can't change willy-nilly?
How big are
No?
we going to make this Constitution, though? Greg was making the point
Well,
of the size of the Constitution. Are we going to put more things in there? Are we going to drop some out? What are the exercises? Go ahead, Joe.
they have a saying, no? And I'm a big that old saying. You have a good system and you put bad people in it. You have a bad system and you put good people in it, it's likely to succeed. No, let me say this. Evidently, the Constitution needs to be improved on. Evidently, the Constitution is not to be blamed for the corruption, poverty. That's that the Constitution doesn't need to be improved on. I think that the area that needs to be addressed in that country is to hold the elected more accountable. That is where I think we should be focusing on in the reform of the Constitution. To let the citizen be able to participate, to hold the politicians accountable.
How?
Well,
How?
the challenge now, some have suggestions, as you can see, the Dylan Vernon suggestion, and the Assad Schumann suggestion, and the Dickie Bradley suggestion. And what you're going to perhaps we need to look at this separation of powers issue.
Well, I think that's important. Yeah, I think everybody understands that. Yeah, there has to be separation between the legislature and judiciary and the executive.
There is.
They're supposed to be, but is there
No,
really,
no, no.
Dickie?
No, your
Is
show,
there really?
hold on, your show is to inform and educate.
That's right.
The principle of separation of powers is straightforward. In fact, there is no such word like separation of powers in the Constitution. But the principle is that there has to be a level of overlap between the executive branch of government and the legislative branch of government.
That's right.
But there is to be no such thing to the judiciary. Nobody can pick up their phone and call a judge and say, that case you have against G. Mike Reed, I want you to find him guilty. That case you have against Joe Cowie, I want you to make sure you charge him hundreds of thousands of dollars. That don't happen in our system, not yet. None of the people in the executive and legislative branch of government can influence the way a judge sit down and listen to arguments from both sides of a case. There always must be strict separation between your judiciary and the other arms of government. There is no word in the Constitution that says accountability. The Constitution requires, as an example, that I think it's section 121, that there be a code of conduct for politicians and high-ranking public officials. They are not to do this. They are not to use their office for public gain. They are not to bring the system into disrepute. They are not to do this. But there is no sanction nowhere. And so they do it. So we can't say on the one hand that the Constitution is good enough. It's the people that needs to change. No, listen, this Constitution was made by foreigners in 1981. We are in charge of our country now. There's no white man in charge of it.
All right, Dickie. I hear that, and that brings us to a part of the problem I have with even Dylan Vernon's. He seems fixated on this change of the head of government. He wants to move the queen or king, whoever it might be, and install a Belize head of government. How do you stand on that? Do you see that as a priority?
Well, that's not a priority, but you can't continue to holler, well, we're an independent nation. We want our people to think independently. We want us to rely on ourselves. We want to strengthen our institutions. We want to uplift our nation and our people. We want prosperity for the citizens of Belize. We want those who are living in the diaspora to feel.
Are we going to get that by changing the head of state? Do you think that what good will come of it? And have we weighed the consequences that may come from that?
You really want us to be bowing to a king of England?
Well, no, I don't want to bow to nobody. You don't have to bow.
Well, we could start with that, man. You're bowing to a king of England.
But let's think about this, though, Dickie, because not everything even though it was written by somebody else, that not everything in there that's bad.
Well, we haven't said that, but nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying.
Sounds like who's giving their comments?
Let's hear Aria.
No, that's Lisa.
Lisa, let's hear you.
And it's just my all right, unmute. Go ahead, Lisa. What are you saying?
Oh no, sorry. It was just I'm here at work, remember?
Oh, yeah, the hell out of somebody. All right, no problem. Yeah, Dickie, what I'm saying though is that just because it's written by somebody else, and this whole thing about the head of the Queen and the dollar and the head of state being in England, but what harm is it doing, and is it just that ego apartheid where you don't want to bow to a foreign potentate or person?
You really independent when you can't put your own people in for
who's
your own
really
money?
independent? There's no this world is interdependent. We're
We're not talking about the world. We're not talking about the world, man. This is talking about we.
because we are part of the world. We
Yeah, but
even the lesser part than everybody else. We all depend on each other. I don't see. I don't agree with you. That's all I'm saying. And
All right.
we don't have to argue about that too long.
We can disagree. Yeah, we can disagree. But the Constitution of Belize is badly in need of reform.
All right.
and
Okay.
improvement.
Let's stick with that. But that's a
Yeah.
part. And again, what I was saying, that the land seems fixated on that part. That's a sticking point for him. That is the hill upon which he seems to die. We need to move on though from that. And
Can I make a comment on that, please?
you certainly can.
No. To take it as if though by removing the Queen as the head of state represented by the Governor General is to be treated as trivial. I don't think it should be treated as trivial. The reason why you may be seeing that making a difference is because you are trying to put a dollar on it. What seems to be doing throughout, and I don't wrong it completely. But when it comes to enhancing the mindset of patriotism, I would expect that it could contribute to have a Belizean instead as the head of state, if there is a head of state. So to me, it's not to dismiss it as if, oh boy, this will make a difference. It can.
Really, you think it will? You think it would?
Well, the problem.
You think just doing that, Belizeans will all of a sudden become patriotic and nationalistic?
I
Yes,
think
man, every little thing helps. Every little thing
Oscar
helps.
Wilde. If you are trying to understand Oscar Wilde when he said, the cynic knows the price of everything but the value of nothing.
Tell me something. Given the climate that we are in, the current climate of the world, where we see what is happening in Palestine, and we spoke about that some, We are in a situation where a very small country being claimed by a much bigger country. The whole process of bullying is being tested, and if they get away with it over there, they're gonna try it over here. Who
Yeah.
are we gonna call upon?
You think the king? You think the king and his country are on your side?
Well, that has nothing to do with it. They might think so.
Everything to do with it. That have everything to
No,
do with it.
if they think so, if Guatemala thinks so, that might make them hesitate.
They don't need to think so. They don't need to think
So what is stopping them so far, and what has stopped them so far?
Stop them from what? Haven't they
From-
taken
from-
SARS?
from- from
Haven't they
coming out-
taken? Haven't they
No, they-
taken
no,
the
they
SARS
haven't.
tool?
No, they
Haven't they
haven't.
taken SARS tool without a
No,
shot?
they haven't. No,
We
they
can't go in
haven't.
our own river.
That's a whole lot
Let
of
me no
much
no.
ado
Let
about
me,
nothing.
you give me a chance. Let me speak to
Go ahead.
Gregory and Lisa and your other people.
Go ahead.
Not so long ago, around 2015, Belize decided with some money from America that we were going to build a forward military operating base, which we would put at the farthest point of our nation. And so one day the Coast Guard, an instrument of the Americans, they feel comfortable. They have all the boats and so on. They go down to the Sarstoon Island, which under the 1859 treaty is a part of the territory of Belize. The River Sarstoon is drawn on the map. They have their portion, we have our portion. The island is in the portion of Belize since 1859. In 2015, the Coast Guard go and they circle around and they're trying to look for which would be the better spot. This is a mangrove island. You'd have to do some filling and maybe drive piles and so on. Our good friends, the Guatemalans, come and tell the Coast Guard, Papacito, you need to move yourself because you are in Guatemalan territory. Oh no, says the Belize Coast Guard. We have no problem in showing you the map, the coordinates, everything, and you well and know this island belongs to us. Well, here we are in 2024. We're going to build, first we build a Mennonites boat thing on the mainland of Toledo, not on our island. That broke up and half sink and people fall down on the pier and get injured and so on. We finally, after much public outcry, we renovated and built a new station on the mainland of Toledo. We don't even think about put a flag on our own island because our neighbors have taken it without firing a single shot.
What are they doing with it?
They just keep us off of it. That's what you do when you're
They don't really
taking.
take it. They don't, nobody
That's how you take land. That's how you take land. You make the owner can't come on your own land. You see no cowboy and Indian movies. You can't go on your own land. You can't go in your own river. Somebody is telling you when to come and how to come and get permission from them. They have taken your land.
I don't, I don't know because I don't see the Guatemalans being so aggressive that they've been killing us and they've been trying to come over by force and take anything. I think we have overreacted a lot.
Yes, that's why we lost the Sarstoon Island and
we
the rest
don't
of
lose
the river.
nothing. They're still on
you
the
can
map.
go on your own river.
Only the court will decide that. You, an officer of the court, should be able to give.
No, man, you missed the point, man. We talk about where the court will decide. We
It's
tell
still
about where they
before the
happen
court.
on
Well,
the
it's
ground.
before the court. So let us wait until that and see what we're going to do.
Before it went before any court, the Guatemalans have made sure we can't go on it without their permission.
All right. You see this Sarstoon Island where they talk about this mangrove thing where you have to full up anyway and dry pile. Would you be able to sacrifice that would you be willing to sacrifice that for peace? Suppose the court say, listen, you see this here? This is not for nobody. This is a no man land. None of them left that just as it is. No commercial fishing, no activity there. But you know what? For peace, for the sake of peace, two owners make a compromise and make sure we can live together. Would you be willing to consider that, or would you think that would be too
But I don't
much?
think Guatemala will be happy with that.
We don't know. It's not been. They've
Well,
not been
it's not-
approached.
Does Philip say not even a blade of grass?
I think that one. I think that one reasonable position to take, though.
Why would you want to
But that is a different argument, man. Don't miss the argument.
that you
Don't
can?
miss the argument, you know.
Well,
You are what you sound like you're doing. All right. But listen, G Mike, you are sounding like you're equating taking land from us with the use of force and aggression. We saw shit in Papacito, then take it and we not even like,
You
we
know
not
what?
even know, we not even sure. Because we never shoot out, because there was
You
no
know what?
shootout, because nobody died,
Maybe I'm
because nobody
naive.
ran. Hold on, man. Hold
Yeah,
on,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
Hold
But
on.
he,
It's a
he
serious
stop that
matter.
whole
Hold
argument.
on, Papa.
Maybe I'm naive,
Hold
but
on, man.
who owns really what? Who really owns what? We have drawn some lines in the sand, and then we fight over with this
No,
line
man.
for go. And when we
You
the get any
misunderstand.
blackout and periodic blackouts now, do you know what war would look like? And it would
A
not be
different
a war.
argument.
It would be the same kind of Gaza thing.
You know the talk about no war, man. We try to explain a simple point. The point
Why
is,
it that simple?
under
Dickie?
under an internationally recognized treaty, half the Sarstoon belong to us. It's part of our country. It has always been. And we
Right.
have lost it, and we have lost it, and we don't
We
even
have
know.
not lost it. They're not doing anything
You
with
not
it.
lost it, and you can't go in your own water. How if you can't go in your own river? Somebody have to give you permission. You know, finish there, you know, my friend. You know, finish there, you know. Let me explain something else to your listeners and your viewers. Sometimes in maybe around 1991 or thereabouts, 93, a thing came up called the Maritime Areas Bill. A bill is when you're going, it's a proposal to become law. The Maritime Areas Bill caused Philip Wilberforce Golson to walk away from the UDP, which is an outgrowth of his NIP, and never ever went back to that party because, in his view, a blind man could see better than all away with eye. In his view, the Maritime Areas Bill would give Guatemala control over a huge chunk of the southern seas of this country. That law was passed, and the UDP promised this nation that if they were ever re-elected, they were re-elected and they can't touch that law because it gives Guatemala an outlet when they come out of the Sarstoon River.
Right.
They would turn left, meaning they're coming from south up north
So they have
on the
use of the
eastern
water.
part of Belize.
They're giving use of the water.
Yes,
But there's no
they're
control.
giving
That's
use.
not control. Don't
Listen,
we get use of
no,
it
man,
too?
no, listen, what does
No.
we? I mean, we not get use of it. I mean,
All
if
right.
we,
So
we
we get
can't use
use
the
of
one
it,
water
but
now.
we give them a
You not
use
finish
for.
there, you know. You know. My son, they not finish there, you know. In the southern part of Belize, the Guatemalans go to the Ranguana and the other ranges where the beautiful islands exist. They are not no mango island. They are a white sandy pearl
Can we go?
sitting in
Can we go?
our. Huh?
Can we go
Yes,
too?
but no.
Okay.
Let me tell you. Well, we can't go to the Sarstoon. You study the Asbo. Can we go? We can't go to
Yeah.
the Sarstoon. All right. Let me tell you what
Haven't Will
Mr.
and the
Golson
crowd gone around the Sartuna a number of
said.
times and gone. I see Haji Matura gone on there in a bikini.
And the
And you
hurry
know,
and the
arrest him
hurry
for that.
race and the hurry race to get back to Belize because they want to stop there. Listen, let me tell you what Mr. Golson said to me. I was Philip Golson's permanent secretary, you know. Let me tell you what Mr. Golson said. He said that if we are waiting for a military invasion, we will be waiting in vain. Guatemala has 17 million people, the vast majority of who are dirt poor. And Belize, not even at that time, we never even have 250,000. Right now, 2024, we don't even half of 1 million. They have 17 million. All they need to do is start to tell them people, Belize belong to we, go over and get a piece of land, start to farm and start to take. What we are doing? Shoot them down. We don't have
Have they
enough
been doing
good.
that? Have they been doing
They
that?
don't
Yes.
need to do it,
But
Papa
that
Sito.
does not prove the kid that
Prove
they're not
what?
as aggressive as we make them to
Where
be.
you get this
But,
word? Where you
but
get this word?
we the rattle sabers, we want to fight them people here. Can we? 17 million people, Dickie. How much are we there with they? How big we army? You think we have
That's the,
IDF or BDF?
that's the
Let's
point
be
I'm
real,
trying to
man.
make to you. But that is
Everybody,
the point I'm trying to make to you. You they agree with me?
this pseudo patriotism is fine. And well, we want to fight and we're gonna defend this, not a blade of grass. And we're really what we got for fight with.
Well,
What
who
we
they
have
talk
to
about
it with?
fight?
Who hope to come to our rescue, Dickie? The OAS or the United Nations?
No, your king will come to the rescue.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Well, the OAS have already betrayed us, so we don't have to worry about that.
So who do we have to lean upon? Diplomacy is the only way to go.
Where you get this
Diplomacy
idea?
and protecting our border.
What are we gonna do? Protect it with what? Who's gonna protect it? Who? Are we gonna put our BDF out there and let them stand and protect it?
That's
Who will
what we should
protect
be
it?
doing.
Tell me.
That's what
We know
our
what has
custom-
to be done. All I'm asking, how we do it?
Our
What has
BDF
to be
and our
done?
customs officials.
Defend our borders.
What has to be done?
Defend our borders.
Yeah, but there are many ways to defend a border.
All right, give me a few.
Well, we can have, for want of a better term, an economic program where we either invite our brothers and sisters from Caribbean and maybe even further, especially in the crisis that Haiti is in, to come and settle in those unsettled areas on the west of our border.
The
And
key.
we facilitate. Make I finish. And
Yeah,
we facilitate having villages and communities there which can put the land to
But
good
see,
use. And
you
for
run past that point, and it's important because you want to bring the Haitians now. You just attacked that we gone from 3 gang to 20 gang. You want to bring more and
You-
vicious ones.
you can't have this I don't want to denigrate it. Not tell me you swallow the propaganda. You mean every Haitian and one gang member? So like you believe
No,
every
come on,
Haitian.
that's going from one extreme to
How-
the other.
how you arrive-
That's totally
How
ridiculous.
do you arrive with inviting Haitians who have agricultural skills?
Who
to
you
come to
think will
your
come? Who you think they will send? The
Well,
cream of
let's
the crap?
Keep
Yep,
Haiti
no,
out of it. Keep
but you
Haiti out of it. What about the rest of the islands?
I know
Okay.
who we want
You
to accept.
think?
So you want what you want to do now? You say bring in more black people so that we can
No,
have
man, I'm
more
only
balance.
giving you. How you the so narrow-minded over
So
this?
what are
matter?
you saying,
We
Dickie?
are-
Well, explain
We
it.
are. You asked me the question.
You
Hold
are
on,
talking
man.
about Caribbean brothers
You-
and sisters. Who are they?
You don't know about
Because you already
Jamaica
have
and Trinidad. You don't know about
you already
Trinidad
have
and
the inclusion of Latin America and Central America.
Right. So we're gonna bring the Caribbean people now.
You need to
No,
mix
man,
it.
only
You
they
need
use
to
an example. They could
do
come from America and
demographic.
they could come from Canada. White people like to come in these jungles and these nature things and so on. You can retire
Yeah,
program.
but
because
I think the concept that Dickie is raising was in fact raised before by government itself and others. That free population is sparse, small. The administrative overhead is high. If we were to bring, let's say, from wherever we think is compatible to what we want to achieve, the idea was to bring people to populate the areas.
Mhm.
And
Bring the diaspora. Let the diaspora give the
that's how
diaspora
it
the whole area.
the
That's
point
what-
that is to be made is that it's not where necessarily they are coming from. It's a concept that he's promoting. Where they will come from, that's another matter.
But
The concept was well supported in cabinet one time.
how would
Yeah.
you examine?
I want to remind you that once when we had asked Haitians or Haitians were being encouraged to come, Guatemala opposed the idea of having Haitians coming into Belize.
Uh-huh.
And that stopped it. Stopped it
It
from
stopped
happening.
it. It stopped it from
I don't
happening.
know about
When-
that.
Well,
So we're
That was
giving.
not the only thing that stopped it, but that was part
When
of
did
what
that happen?
stopped it.
What year was that?
I don't know that at
That
all.
was
actually.
that was probably sometime in right
late
after
70s and 80s.
So
This
that
was
means we not getting the stars too. We getting control of our whole immigration policy then.
This was right after the earthquake in Haiti.
Right. So we give Guatemala control over our immigration policy. Is that
No,
what
you
you're
give
saying?
them control over the Saskatoon.
Yeah, but that's not what he's talking about. No confuse issue.
No,
Because
you
in the time of Asian coming and Guatemalans what disapprove of it and therefore stopped it.
Cubans
That is
Cubans had offered to come. Cubans had offered to come.
And some did.
In fact, if America continues to arm and send money to Israel, we might have to ask that some of the
Palestinians?
Palestinians come. Anything wrong with that? Only a handful of people here. My brother Gregory is bringing a good point to your attention. We are literally under invasion from our neighboring countries with their population pouring in and nobody can, well, they know, but
One of the
all
simplify
right. Is there another
very
topic, Mrs. Two
complicated
Ranker?
issue. Yeah, because that
What's
one day,
another
yeah,
topic?
the whole political reform. What other part of the constitution do we need to address outside of the head of state thing? Because I see the land regulate the
Definitely,
influence of money in politics and punish public corruption. Duh. That seems
definitely.
to
I
be a
know we need to
no-brainer.
take away the ministerial discretion to the degree it has been used. I
Let's
do
look at
believe
that. Let's look at that.
Excellent point.
Let's look
Excellent
at
point.
that. Yeah, what are we going to do with that? Because are we going to take it away to the degree it's being used, or take it away altogether? Because we enter a slippery slope when we decide we just left it.
There was never ever a proposal, because it would be nonsensical, to take away discretionary powers from the executive. The idea when it was being discussed was to, in fact, beginning to limit some of them which were unnecessary. And we know some examples that we can talk about. But it's not
Yes.
that you cannot take away discretionary
No,
power.
no, you cannot remove it completely. You cannot.
You need to control it. You need to control it.
No,
Yeah,
it was
yes,
to be removed in areas because of the subjectivity. For example, issues
Land.
like I just think of one, there are many. The land utilization committee within the ministry is the technical committee to make the decision whether they meet the requirements for subdivision. But after they don't approve that, the minister will have to make a final decision. That was nonsensical. The issue of fiscal incentive was too subjective. There are many points within the existing provisional laws that flow from the Constitution that could be addressed. But overall, you have to keep discretionary powers.
What are we going to do about campaign financing and the buying of votes?
The first thing you need to do is to make sure political parties must become a legal entity. Right now, as far as I know, and they are neither a legal person or a natural person.
I want to throw into the mix, because you all are touching the crux of the matter over constitutional improvement. The system of government that we have, maybe we need to look at the system of government in which
that who has the key?
the nation, I believe.
Oh, we have.
Yeah. We have. Remember that we were a colony of the British, and so their system was brought here and put in place, and we have been going along with it without any serious review as to is it really serving as best it can. Can we take two examples of areas that could be of concern in how we could improve? Let's take the Customs Department and the Lands Department. The Customs Department brings in, I don't have the budget here, maybe another night we could discuss what is in the budget of release for 24-25. But let's say it's about $400 million in charging taxes, customs. All right, what has happened with the Customs Department is that the Creoles, the East Indians, large portions of the mestizos and other persons, they are outside of the regime, which is now increasingly under the control of the Chinese and the Indian merchants. You have seen the closures, Hofias closed, Batam Dala closed, and so on. All right, what is happening is this. The Chinese, like the Mennonites, they are a network. They're well organized. We don't pay attention to where they happen in customs. But these people, when they bring in a container, let's say that container having $800,000 US worth of goods, they have their custom officers who they work with, You know, if there is 80 people working at customs, the 80 of them go and inspect containers and assess the duty on the containers. They have their people. Those people will assess $800,000
Yeah. So it's not
thousand.
their problem then. It's not the problem. It's the custom officers. Have we seen how
Both of them.
wealthy they have grown? Have you know any
Well, that's
custom
what
officer were broke?
this is where I'm coming to. So
Huh?
what is happening? Your system of government is a failure because this happens in front of our eyes.
Yes,
Custom
everybody see.
officers have eight mansions. Some of them have apartment buildings, 3, 4 of them that they have rented out, and so
Yes.
because they under assess the value of goods coming in, and
And they
they
get
are
it, they
given
get
a
the amount.
handsome
Yeah.
award.
But there
Nobody
must be a
touch
way.
that.
Yeah.
Nobody. That's an easy thing, man. But nobody joke away could put a stop to that thing. And where Trump said he could done the war in a day, joke away could that in a half a day. Just putting in a system. So you have no oversight at customs.
But
You
why is
have
there
no-
no attempt even to put in such a system? What is stopping it? I could understand the politicians not wanting to put in place systems that will curb their own corruption. But something like this, they must go look at that. We see how much the country is
You see,
losing.
then you look. You think then you look on that. So let's pause there. Let's pause there and go over to the lands department.
Right.
The lands department.
Another cesspool of corruption.
We have. That is the words of the former prime minister who lifted not a single finger to do anything about it.
Yeah.
The lands department, you talk about ministerial discretion, the minister could give 1,000 acres right now the morning, just like that to somebody.
Correct.
It's crazy, man.
No.
You know, the other day, 2 white men they try to kill one another over some cave, I think they call Dark Night or somewhere around by Jaguar
I
Park
think I
area.
remember that, yeah.
Right, over for we cave with for we artifacts in there, instead of they
Yeah.
take away the thing from them.
Every day.
Yes.
But,
So how could we not want to reform, improve, and have proper oversight of the land department where land is finite? Is going to end someday soon that we don't have enough land for our own population. So
Let me ask you.
our system of government is a failure. The current system of government is
Let
a
me ask you
failure.
a pertinent question. Is there the will to make these changes? Is it the
No.
political will?
No.
Is there the public will?
No.
So what will it take, Dickie? Because if that isn't
I don't
there,
think
then
there's even the understanding of what's going on to make it focus.
the care, then that whether they even give a damn about it, it seems most of us don't.
Yes, but that is why you and Gregory and the lady who is here as Castaneda and all of those who are listening to your program on Wednesday, Uno could help because nobody can victimize Uno, nobody can stop Uno from putting forward ideas and suggestions and put the pressure so that, listen, can I tell you something? You mark my words tonight, right here. There'll be no general elections November next year, you know.
March.
It's going to be very early, brothers and sisters.
But no, let's look at that, Dickie. Is there? I always felt that we should set a date for election. The America does it.
Isn't that a good idea for the Constitution?
I would love it. I would love it.
Right.
The first, like they do it the first Tuesday and every November. We could pick a date and say, well, every 4 years, and I would want to bring it down to 4 instead of 5. 5 kind of long. If they could do it in a 2 and 3, certainly they could do it in 4. So let's set the date for a 4-year term.
Well, there are 2 issues with the talk.
Well, yes.
One is the first one that
date.
you said. Yeah.
Setting a
That-
date. The next one is to have a shorter term of government. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I will. Let me share with you. If you say 4 years for a government, then start to campaign from the reach 3. You can't have a 2.5-year government in place. You need to look at that a little bit more carefully. In all the Central American republics, including our brothers to the north, Mexico, which has over 100 million people, you get 1 term for 6 years and you move out of the way so somebody else could come.
Yeah.
You can't
I
run
was
for
going
re-election.
to talk about term limit, but that only works when you have a president. You know.
No, you could do it
if
with
you
any
set
system.
structure.
Yeah, with any system.
Well, with
no
a
matter.
president or a prime minister or something of that sort, but it doesn't really work in a parliamentary system where you elect your prime minister from within your leadership.
No. How you arrive at your leader is a different process than the leader that you have.
Let's go to another one.
I thought that
electing the prime minister.
Yeah, but Mr. Bradley or Mr. Chairman, let me say something.
Go ahead.
I think Mr. Bradley was onto something, and we seem to have let it slip by. The truth about it that when we got to independence in 1981, we did accept the British parliamentary system of democracy. I look back now, so many years after 43, that system in itself is not suitable for Belize because of a small population. So that separation between the cabinet and the legislature, which I think we should
So
have.
what system would be more appropriate if a parliamentary system? I thought that would be the most appropriate.
Well, if you allow me to, then I would have told you.
Okay.
So I'm saying to you, if you take the British system as it is, you have a parliament about over 400 members. And how many cabinet ministers? I think the most you have are 29. Belize have a population of 400,000, let's say. And we have almost everybody in the legislature, in the cabinet.
Well, that's a blunder of the government.
But didn't they pass a law that only 2/3 could be in there?
No, the problem we are having right now is that we are not listening to law and we are listening to reply. So let us begin to listen.
Joe, not to throw cliches, man, and stay to
No,
the
no,
point. Make sense.
let me be brutally candid.
Yes, do
I
so.
am saying to you that if you allow me to say what I want to say, then after
Well, how long it take you? Because we only got 2 hours.
That's the problem. You want to set the time. I will not set a time with myself. I want to tell you, Mr. Chairman. please.
Continue.
I am saying to you that how can you have a parliamentary system where you will have members of the cabinet coming from that legislature? Because we don't have the amount of members in the parliament. So evidently, they will be overlapping. Now, the suggestion that was brought forward, hopefully, is one that maybe we could look at. Let the Prime Minister be appointed or elected at the popular vote, and don't bring the cabinet from among the legislators. That's the kind
I will go for that. I like that idea.
That's what I'm saying. That's the kind of
But
discussion.
that doesn't have anything to do with the size. The size
But
need to be.
come up and I don't want that and I don't want that and don't talk long. That's what
No, Joe. I'm just saying you to conflate the issues, and it don't make no sense. Okay? It's more
Trying to-
confusing than we
I
don't get
am trying
clarity.
to explain here, when we adopted that system, we thought it was good for us.
All right. So now
We
we
have-
realize it's not.
So now you want a republic. You're
Correct.
joining Johnny
And I'm not
for a republic.
if we want a republic or what I'm telling you that let us look at each of these issues.
The way we brutalized the constitution and created the large cabinet has nothing to do with the parliamentary system. It has to do it has to do with the abuse of the government in power.
No, and I'm saying to you,
it is said that let me just finish this point. Then
when you are setting up a system, when you are setting up a system, and I will speak with authority on this because we do internal controls. When you are setting up any system, you act on the assumption that the people you are putting there are competent and honest. But you put in internal controls that if they snap, you can pick it up.
Okay.
But that has nothing to do with the size of the cabinet. You're going off on a different
Has
thing.
something to do with it because when you are electing or appointing, your cabinet ministers from among your legislators, you will always have a dominance of the cabinet.
So your recommendation is that we elect Joe.
Yes.
Let me get it clear. The recommendation is that we elect a prime minister and allow the prime minister to select his members of his cabinet from technocrats as opposed from the ministers who we let to go and represent their respective areas, their
Except for one,
constituencies.
I'm not saying the prime minister must appoint from among technocrats. He will be free to appoint from people outside of the legislature that he believes is competent to be ministers.
Well, which are basically the same thing. People who know what they're doing.
No, they are not the same thing. No, they are not the same thing. When you say technocrats, it means that you have to appoint public officers in the cabinet because they are technocrats. No, what I'm saying is simple.
Well, only them are technocrats. Technocrats are only.
Who are technocrats? What you call technocrats?
People who know what they're doing in specific fields.
No, man, you're talking professionals. No.
Okay, well, let's go with professionals.
Yes,
but what are you saying? What's the argument you're making against that?
All I'm saying to you, gentlemen, please don't make the thing so difficult. The prime minister then, if he's serious about wanting a cabinet to to do the job that the Constitution requires it to do, it is expected then that he can choose from a wide field.
But why can't
Okay.
he do that under? Why can't he do that
Because,
under the?
because the Constitution don't allow him to do it.
No. A small cabinet, to have a small cabinet.
Even if you have a
Right,
small cabinet, you have to.
We need to change. We need.
Oh my God. Hold on, man. You're asking questions which I thought at least that part of the Constitution we would know. When you're appointing a cabinet, you can only appoint from the legislators and from among senators that you appoint. You cannot go outside of that. That's the Constitution.
So, all right. What is your recommendation, Joe?
All I'm simply saying is that you will allow the cabinet to be made up, apart from the prime minister who may be elected by the popular vote, but the cabinet can be made up of professionals that that can do the job. You see, the job of the executive is different from the job of a legislator.
All right. Yeah. Let's go try something else. Regulate the influence of money in politics and punish public corruption. A man like Elvin Penna should be in jail. When are we going to get to the point where we see one of these politicians brought to justice and have to face the consequences of their activities?
The word accountability.
Politician.
You got Contreras right now when I want to go to the Senate committee go explain why he signed a document.
Right. And why would he not?
The word accountability is not in the Constitution. There is no mechanism to bring these people to justice. There is no mechanism that they have to account. That is a part of the problem that the nation, I believe, has. That we give people power and they are not accountable to us. The institutions that should be there to hold them accountable is not functioning, is not working. In fact, some of them are non-existent. A simple thing, G. Mike Reed, like a whistleblower legislation.
Right, there we go.
We can't even get that passed. Why? Because those in power have no interest in doing that. Let's look at another matter.
But not go past that. Kind of very important point. The whistleblowers. Okay. Why can't the public demand it? Those in power don't want to do it, but we can do it if only at election time.
Well,
don't you think?
Listen, one of your listeners just posted up a post to say that perhaps the diaspora, Belizeans living abroad, need to put more pressure on these people so that, it's time, Sam Gently saying, it's time for the diaspora to get aggressive on how to help govern the country. Most countries' diaspora, if that is plural, do help to govern. All Belize want is our resources.
No, see that
You all can help, man. The diaspora can help.
Yeah, they can help, but they don't have to throw a thing in our face like that every time. Throw in our face.
We need to get things thrown in our face, man. We need to be slapped up.
I disagree with you.
We need to be slapped up because we are sitting here. We are not.
We need some sensible discussions. Go ahead.
What is Yahoo Show is saying? Here are some drawbacks of the parliamentary system that we have attuned ourselves to. 1, fragmentation and instability. A parliamentary system can result in the fragmentation of the political landscape with numerous parties vying for power. This can lead to frequent changes in government coalition and political instability. We those of you all in the diaspora can be a big help to us because perspective and angle helps you to see things differently. We are inside, and we can appreciate that you all can help us, man. You all have the ideas, the experience, and you're not afraid to speak up. You're not afraid to speak up.
Well, they don't have to be afraid to speak up. Then I get victimized.
Could I clarify something there, Mr. Bradley?
Yeah.
There is accountability in the Constitution. Perhaps we can enhance it, but the accountability comes from the section on finance. The section on finance makes it clear that the legislature, the executive, has to account to the legislature, and the legislature accounts to the citizens under that section, which from that came the Finance and the Audit Reform Act. And that is a part of the accountability that we have not been complying with. And when they took That's right. And when they took the Prime Minister, because he had violated the Finance and Aid Reform Act, and they took the matter to the court for a judicial opinion, and gave an opinion that he in fact violated the Finance and Aid Reform Act. And that is one of the main accountabilities where they have to account back for the appropriation. The Parliament approves the appropriation act. The executive implements it to carry out the government. But then at the end of the year, there has to be an audit. And they have to, but they don't account.
All right.
That's where we have failed. We have failed to have the audit completed.
So there's more adhering to the laws than actually changing the laws that we need to be doing.
That's
how about this one? How about this one? This 9B of where section, yeah. Anyway, each electoral division shall have as nearly as may be an equal number of persons eligible to vote. Yes. Now, how much Fort George got, and how much Stan Creek South got? I mean, one got like 4,000, that one only got 600. Is that nearly as equal? And that's in the Constitution already. We don't need to change anything about that. Yeah. Can we maybe?
No, we need to implement that.
That's what maybe we need to do more than anything is find out the things that are worthy.
Well, give me a chance, ladies and gentlemen. I want to share a view with you. Yes, that is in the Constitution, and yes, that must be enforced. However, Belize City have 10 out of the 31 current constituencies. Mm-hmm. In order to fulfill the constitutional requirement, it more than likely means shrinking the 10 in Belize City.
To 8 or 7, yeah.
That
and that I know that's
not there with that.
My boy, you could sink it to 2, north side and south side.
Me not there with that. So listen to me. Where in the world does a people give up the little power that they have?
Where's the power? What power?
Yes, we have 10 representatives in the parliament. You want to cut it down to 2.
If we're gonna give that power to the rest of the people, where it belongs, everybody has equal right to that power, Dickie.
The rest are which people?
The rest are Belizean, because they're not going that far. We're not going to send the power overseas. We're keeping that right here.
The Mayas don't want nothing to do with we victimize them so long, so they are out.
So here we go now. They come to the division, Dickie, and when shake on the fish out of Guatemala, can't get together with the Mayans. But you were shaking fish out of Guatemala.
Yes, and the thousands upon thousands of Salvadorians, Honduranians, Guatemaltecans, and so that are coming into the country.
The Guatemalans that are made citizen contrary to our constitution.
I don't like
maybe you could do like Biden and lock the border.
Chairman, allow me to ask Mr. Bradley.
Which people give up? Sorry?
I allow you to ask a question that he has to law. I know the matter is supposed to be at the court to resolve this redistricting, no?
Yeah.
But I asked myself whether that there was not a flaw in the Constitution. In fact, it is there about making as equal as possible. But when you look at a sparse population as Belize is, very sparse, we have sparse population, brings a very heavy administrative overhead to manage the country. An attempt to do that, you don't think that is a part of the Constitution but should be amended to make sure that it is not to be as equal as possible, unless the as equal as possible would mean.
No, it needs to be equal as possible, because that gives each citizen.
Everybody has a right to see him.
Because when you look in some of these rural areas where it is very sparse,
but it's based on population. It's not based on land area, Mr. Cow. It's based on population count, citizens.
You know,
400 people in a village, 300 people in a village.
It says here it would be naive to contend that a new or reformed constitution is a panacea to address all Belizeans' national problems. That's
That
an
is true. That
important
is true.
thing.
That is
And
true. Yeah.
That,
and
But
that's true, is it?
something like maybe with the focus on the unimportant things or the least important of things. There are so many. Corruption certainly is one. The abuse of power is another. The unlawful enrichment of public officials. There are so many that we really need to work on that will make a difference.
yes.
That maybe the ones that we're concentrating on is serving a distraction more
No,
than anything
it's
else.
just
Proportional
that the
representation.
that's a matter to be looked at. But the point is that there are so many important things that need to be ventilated. We can't cover all of them tonight, but we are touching on some of the ones that everybody can agree upon.
Would you agree to electing the prime minister as opposed to just breaking him apart at the whole political party and then they choose who they want? Would you
You know,
consider it?
we would need no, because we need to ask ourselves exactly, first of all, what is the problem we are trying to solve in order
Right.
to go that road. That's the first thing. I think,
Well, you have a prime minister accountable to all the people and answerable to all the
but
people.
electing a prime minister no make accountable to all the people.
Why not? The all with the election, not just the people, not just for him people.
No, but
No,
as it is right now, he is accountable.
Yes.
He is accountable.
Yes,
He is.
Yeah.
yes.
By the
On the Brooks
Not
News here tonight.
satisfactorily.
On the must work
Satisfactorily.
for BBN. On the Brook News all over the place tonight.
No, man, no, the constitution.
Well, you're learning a lot of things, G-Mike.
He had to learn that much. I'll tell you that he's accountable. All right. I
It
haven't
might
seen-
not be as accountable as we would want, might not be as
Thanks for the
accountable
qualifier.
fast enough as we would want. And we have said it over and over now, that the institutions, listen, one nation is not built upon a prime minister, it's built upon the institutions that allow these people to function. It's the institutions which are weak, in cases non-existent, in others we can't appreciate it. Let me give you a good example of something. When Joe Covey was a minister of the cabinet, his prime minister came up, thanks to people like Joe, with an excellent idea which was put into effect. You have a budget of $1,500,000,000. The people's monies are going to be spent each year. The parliament has a committee which is called the Public Accounts Committee. Members of the two parties in the system, we don't have three parties or four parties. And let me pause and make this point. There is great celebrations in Mexico. Not only that, the first ever woman, not happened in Canada, not happened in the United States of America, but happened in Mexico. First woman to be elected president. But listen to this. Her predecessor, her mentor, the man who paved the way for her to come forward and get elected, broke away from the two-party system, broke away from the stranglehold that the PRI, their revolutionary party, had over their system for 70 years. Manuel Lopez formed a new party, the Moreno. We are not thinking like that in Belize. You're either blue or red, you're either red or blue. We don't even think like, boy, guess what? Long as we have this red and this blue, we ain't going nowhere. Nothing will change.
How about
You
a
know-
unicameral system as opposed to a bicameral?
Well, that's confusion again, because
Why?
what is, huh?
Why? What is
Because-
the use of the Senate? It is a rubber stamp.
Yeah, but you get like, you know, when we were small and was listening to the radio, Little Rock Radio, and out of the blue, one Spanish voice come in at the company radio, like one totally different thing.
No,
That is
but
another. Yeah, but
one of the things also
Yeah,
that's
but
in
hold
there,
on,
Alifa.
but hold on. I want you all to give some thought to what I'm saying right now. The decision was made that the Public Accounts Committee, one, would be headed by someone from the opposition. It is foolish to think that the PUP, they're in a party, and so the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee and the majority of members are PUP. You think they're going to take their shovel and dig up all those skeletons so that the nation could find out?
And
So
nobody declares their assets. Nobody is not a part of that.
But that is another argument too. That is a good argument as well. And it goes to the point that we're saying that you put the opposition in charge of the Public Accounts Committee. They have a vested interest in finding out corruption and skullduggery.
Right.
Isn't that a fabulous idea? Guess what? The next idea that also came about. Guess what? That you don't confine yourself to only appointing blue and red to the committee. Bring in the private sector, bring in the citizens groups on that committee so that they're not there trying to protect their party and trying to cover up for their party. Open up the democracy, open up the levers of power and the institution. This is what institutional strengthening is all about. The system as it is right now is rigged against all of us. So let's change what we can change. So if you can, thank you, if you can make that change, G. Mike Reed, for the Public Accounts Committee, we need people like you, like Joe, like Greg, like all of you all in the diaspora and the media in Belize to hammer and say, you, call a meeting, call out public meeting, tell us where the money is spent, tell us where monies are missing, tell us the amount of waste and so the nation could know. That is a big part of accountability. That is an improvement in the system. So what I'm trying to say is this. If we can do it for the Public Accounts Committee, let's start doing it for the other committees. Let's learn something from the dynamic nation called United States of America, where we are going to have some public hearings into the shenanigans of this minister. If we have a policy that no minister can approve an application for 5,000 acres of land without it being published in their mandala and put in all the media, then when time we find out that they do that, call in front of the committee and make an answer. Otherwise, you go to prison. So there are ways we can improve our system, brothers and sisters.
We're out of time, but you know what I'm afraid of? That most of this will turn out to be cosmetic. I mean, just show. And just like the PUC, the Public Accounts Committee, I'm going to talk about what came of that. You did get that put in place. You did have an opposition leading it. What good has come from that? How has that been effective in curbing corruption in any way?
Let me end up, Mr. Chairman. Let us not live in the winter of despair. Let us live in the spring of hope. There is hope for Belize.
Yes, I think with you, Joe. There is hope. Let's end the show. There is hope. We can
let us hope.
On a high note.
We had the Belize basketball team.
Good diaspora for be helpful too.
Don't forget to mention Lisa about the Diaspora Summit.
Oh yes, to our listeners out there, coming June 17th through the 22nd, the Diaspora Summit will be here. For those interested in passports, applications, or birth certificates, and anything that has to do with immigration, I believe they're going to be here the Monday, the 17th, the 18th, and the 19th. They're hosting, the immigration will be hosting its summit in two places, one in Santa Monica and the other one in at the LA Marriott on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So for those who are interested in passports, specifically passports, please go online, register to get an appointment to get your passports renewed. For those interested in land, there is going to be a land clinic on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. You may also register for an appointment for you to have any of the discussions with land applications and so forth, or land inquiries that you may have in Belize. Also, there's investment forum that will be taking place on Friday for those who are interested in trying to invest or have businesses and wants to ask questions about how businesses are being done in Belize. Friday is a good day for you to come see what the investment forum is all about. And then there's also a gala on Saturday for those who are interested. It's like a meet meet and greet you with our diaspora communities. So if you'd like to come out for the gala, it starts at 7 p.m. and it's $50 per ticket. There's a Zelle website that I will upload to our Facebook page for you guys to buy tickets. It's $50. So again, for our audiences in the LA area or any part of the United States that would like to come out for the summit, it's available to you guys. So just go online and go to the summit on Facebook page, and you'll be able to register for the clinics and for the immigration forum.
And these individuals are coming from, there are some that reside in the United States and some coming from the ministries in government in Belize, right?
The staff itself for the Lance Clinic and for immigration are all coming from Belize. They are not, we don't have a ministry here in the United States. So these are staff members from those ministries in itself. The summit is the summit itself is for all of us to get together so we can have wholesome communication here and back home in Belize. So this is the reason why the association put it together, so that the diaspora have a better way of communicating with people back home. But no, the staff in itself for the immigration, for the Ministry of Immigration and Ministry of Natural Resources or the Lands Department, the entire staff is from Belize.
Okay. Richard Dickey Bradley.
I would say that the staff in any of the ministries which are important to the diaspora should be invited and should be of assistance to you, Alika, your Belizeans. Don't invite any minister unless they pass the whistleblowers law and the campaign financing law. Tell them they are not welcome to any event by the diaspora until they show themselves are worthy.
They
prove themselves to be worthy.
They is setting up. Dicky, lead us and let's get this fight going. Let's go. Make the changes that needs to be changes. But again, let us focus on the ones that will really make a difference and not just make we feel good or look good.
Well, I saw this morning, I was in Belmopan, I saw in an office these words: Almighty God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the wisdom to change those things that I can, or at least the courage to change the things that I can, and give me the wisdom to know the difference. So if we start there, if it's to be, it's up to you, G Mike, that you got the mic.
People, thank you very much. Dicky, I'll come back, right? You'll have to come back because we're not really cover much what we need to get to anyway, and there's so much once you start going.
You just want to make more enemies in the government.
You can handle all of them. You know where, boy. I defend you. People, thank you a lot. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next time. Same place, Free Palestine.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Fire pan no stick, make it ball like a wig. Now they jump up in the air, some boy beware. We fling ball the bricks like spear. Me no need no gimmick for the make the bricks panic. Me no need no fire pan no stick, make it ball like a wig. Now they jump up in the air, some boy beware. We fling ball the bricks like spear. Music, down and noise, gun and a toy. Some boy me telling us you no must realize whole globe done change. What's me like them words out of my mouth. Some your lyrics that I forget, rearrange, you don't need money to get that. Hotter than pepper when you sing. While you have to this song so bitter, you get opportunity with that responsibility to teach you reality. Me no need no gimmick to make the lyrics popular. Me no need no fire pan, no stick, make it ball like a wig. Now they jump up in the air, some boy beware. We fling ball the lyrics like spear. Me no need no gimmick to make the violence prevention. That will mention why you have to spit with so much bad intention. So I'm gonna say it, so shall it be. What's the seed far close to the G? You know, say retire that the negativity plus you stay the complete. Even though you have dollars, they fall like rain. Still want drive in another man lane. You don't need no gimmick for to make the lyrics public. You don't need no fire pan, no stick, make it ball like a weight. You don't jump up in the air, sung by beware. We fling bout lyrics like fear. You don't need no gimmick for to make the lyrics public. You don't need no fire pan, no stick, make it ball like a weight. You don't jump up in the air, sung by beware. We fling bout lyrics like fear.
Musical thing called put them in check. Who for breaks appalling how the victim could become the suspect. Lyrics high tech, shut a fire. Bad mind, hit the deck. Thief me barrel, thief me barrel, thief me barrel. Where we send a hot devil. Thief me barrel, man, thief me barrel. When we try to inquire, big quarrel. Thief me barrel, man, thief me barrel. Then me get a text, they ask me if he still pay the bill. Smart thing to a giant, but now they try that will. Certain things do not detect, they stand still. Me load up with rice and beans and canned beef. In me brother 2 shirt, sneakers and brief. Case of bamboo, cause the man no like leaf. Adult pampers, fi me aunt man grief. Now me head the hot me and me full up of grief. They said the ship will bring me container capsize on the reef. Left me the question, me own belief. Me never believe them Monday. As no thief, even though we reside in a different time zone. Diaspora they work hard for send a leading home. We don't no pick the boat ya. Everybody grown, we may call, then him, they answer the phone. Thief me barrel, thief me barrel, thief me barrel, where we send a hot devil. Thief me barrel, man, thief me barrel, when we try to inquire, big quarrel. Thief me barrel, man, thief me barrel, then me get a text, they ask me if he still pay the bill. Smart thing to a giant, but now they try that will. Certain things do not detect, they stand still. Heavy is the head we have to wear the crown. But if you are the boss, your response for hold things down. Me know you don't want to hear me pan me rostrum like cat. We spit truth alongside wisdom. Stop the playing with big folks drum. You can't take me and me family for no circus long. Blow fire upon them big teeth out of custom. For them dolly house soon burn down. Thief me barrel, thief me barrel, thief me barrel, where we send a hot devil. Thief me barrel, man, thief me barrel, when we try to inquire. Big
I met. I'm here to say Kalinka, you know we deal with the streets that you mentor. And then we know. The money we have flowers, you know. Cash in our money, okay. I met in the place. They say, girl, them too. And then we know. Nothing about the I met. Sure. I know nothing, me get a million, spend it off. Double the money, triple then me set it off. Spain town badness and me no come with fuckery craft. Bad Benz land a road, new jet just take off. Plus me mother good, me brother them a bra. And me living comfortable now me mansion ras. Keep going dog, we never ever pass. We have to complete the mission, mash up every task. Watch the envious and the jealous dog. Say a prayer chant, psalms for them dirty heart. Focus on my meds, keep me cash advance. Cut and clear, judge and me heart. Plus me check them clear, me have me cash them lock. Fi buy some Gucci prints and some Louis Vuittons. Detrimentally when we stock up on those class. When we stock up on those class. Money we are free tonight. Hustling at the streets tonight. That's how we do it. Money we are free tonight. Hustling at the streets tonight. Yeah, that's how we do it. New Gucci reach tonight. Y'all them looking neat tonight. Yeah, that's how we do it. Money at the streets tonight. Money at the streets tonight. Money we are free tonight. Hustling at the streets tonight. That's how we do it. Money we are free tonight. Hustling at the streets tonight. Yeah, that's how we do it. 24/7 when we roll out. Me I go talk some facts, yes, I will me know about. Burn out pagans and run them with them grown out. Long time me I trod the street, long time me I roll out. Alright then me have to make the music complete. Long time me and Fire Dice we stand at Jaja feet. We have to complete the mission complete. The reggae music have to fulfill, you know it's sweet. Hey money we are pre, and money we are bring. And tell them say we have to get some new kicks and bling. Some new jeans and ting, some fresh strips and ring. And girl them say we look good, relax, clean and think. Cause Smokey we gamble money like cash fast. On the beach me reach me gal I bring the fat strap. You will squander money, yes we have it stock. Fire Dice buy the NSC, buy all the pack. First rule fraternity, we there at the top. And at the end of the day we make we stop back. Money we are free tonight. Hustling at the streets tonight. That's how we do it. Money we are free tonight. Hustling at the streets tonight. Yeah, that's how we do it. Money we are free tonight.